my music. Turn my music. Turn my music.
And we are live.
Good evening, people. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's your boy Rich. We here again. One more again, Milestone Comics Roundtable. And on tonight, we are going to be talking about Blood Syndicate. I want to ask, how's my people doing? I got Paul in here. I got Tamiko. I got Derek in the background. And we do have a couple of special guests also in the building. But before we get to our special guests, we want to kind of recap what we've done as far as the previous episodes. We started off with Static, then we moved and shift gears and we went to hardware. And last week we had a dope show with Icon and Rocket. And so tonight we're closing out this series of roundtables talking about the original Milestone with Blood Syndicate. Blood Syndicate is a comic book basically about a gang who fights demons and roaches and rats and cops and anybody that comes into Paris Island. They have no problem throwing hands. So tonight we're going to talk about Blood Syndicate. This is, in my opinion, this is just your boy's opinion. This is the, if Milestone Comics has a cult book or a cult following, Blood Syndicate, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is that book. The series was only 35 issues, but very impactful. And tonight we're going to just talk comics. We're going to talk details in terms of characters. We're going to get into a little bit of everything. So having said that, we do have special guests in the building with us tonight. One is an artist and one is a writer. The writer is actually the esteemed Geoffrey Thorne, who is writing on Milestone Season 1 currently. We have him in the building tonight. And the other is a original OG artist on the original Blood Syndicate book as well. And Milestone
OG, triple OG, quadruple OG.
Yeah. Well, just add a bunch of O's and then one G at the end of it. We're talking about the amazing ChrisCross is with us tonight as well.
I feel like Dr. J without the money.
Okay, gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. I want to thank you for doing what you do. You add so much to our fandom, and so I want to ask you how you guys doing tonight.
I'm happy. This is where I need to be. I'm very happy. You can see the smile on my face.
Appreciate y'all being here.
I think Jeff's just happy anyway. You know.
Well, I mean, I always check out everybody's shows, and you guys do an awesome show. So, like, I sit down and listen to the commentary, and it's always on point. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with Cross, and I'm happy to be here talking about this thing. So, what's not to be happy about? I can't think of a better Sunday night, really. So,
Appreciate
let's go.
I can't top that, yo. I can't top that.
Yeah, appreciate that. We gotta say, as fans of you guys' work, this is a treat for us as well. We like to discuss and talk in detail about these characters, about these books, and what they mean to us. Because it's interesting. This book is literally 30 years old, and I reread the run, getting ready for this show, and it was funny to me because I wasn't, I'm an old head, and I know you was talking about the young whippersnappers earlier a while ago, but I think I was in my 20s, late 20s maybe, when I read this originally, and I just had so much fun with it then, and then rereading it again I had a lot more fun for it, respect for it too, because it definitely aged well. All the Milestone
Very
books
much so.
and the style, people
Those books hold
go
up.
back and forth about that. Yeah, people go back and forth about the art, but what I loved about Milestone is that you guys had a style, and it's like you could look at your art, whether it was you, Dennis Cowan, or others, or whatever, and say, that's a Milestone book. That's Milestone. It was distinct, and that's the thing about being trendsetters or whatever. Trendsetters don't follow the rules. They carve their own paths and they make things happen. So, props to you guys for doing what you do. Now, Mr. Thorne, my man,
Yes, sir.
100 grand. I just want to salute you. I'm a fan, and I could talk about other stuff outside of this here, but I'm not going to geek out. I'm going to just say I love your writing. I love what you're doing with the Blood Syndicate now, and just wanted to shout you out and give you your props, sir, for that.
Thank you very much.
With that being said, you're welcome. You're most welcome.
I appreciate
With
it.
that being said, guys, we got to get to thank you. With that being said, guys, we got to get to this thing. On tonight, we're going to talk about the book, of course, origin story first. First of all, the origin story doesn't take place normally when you're introduced to a character, right, or a comic book. Usually, the origin story is in like the first 2 issues. But Blood Syndicate, the way they did it, they decided to make the origin story in issue number 9. And the cool thing about this, they waited. They just basically they punched us in the mouth and say, you know what? Here are these characters. Get used to them. We ain't going nowhere. But we didn't find out who these guys were until issue number 9. And this is the issue where the Paris Island Bloods and the 4th Syndicate, who were victims of the Big Bang, find themselves together, decide that they're going to pool their resources, rob a bunch of people, chase the cops out of Dakota, and do their thing. So, but you can find that in issue number 9, and it's interesting too because Faye, who is the focus of this particular run or whatever, we get to see a little bit more of who he is in this particular issue, and again, it's just a dope issue. So, if you want anybody that wants to read about the Blood Syndicate, I recommend you get the whole run. But if you really want the origin story, pick up issue number 9. So, fellas, and my sister Tomiko, do you guys have any thoughts about this issue in particular?
What's interesting is you know, as you said, you don't normally wait to tell the origin until 9 issues in. But the unique thing about Blood Syndicate in comparison to the other Milestone books is that there wasn't like, and I was mentioning this before offline. There wasn't story arcs per se. It was a very serialized story. Shout out to Ivan Velez Jr. Brilliant writing. The story was one continuous story that built over time, and it was a slow burn because the thing with Blood Syndicate in particular is, unlike Static and Icon and Hardware, this was an ensemble cast, so it's difficult as a writer to give shine to each character when it's an ensemble cast, to build the characters in the short time span that you have in an issue. So having it come out in this issue 9 is kind of a flashback to see where they're all. They sort of dropped Easter eggs in the issues that came before this. Is they mentioned this happened and this happened. You're like, well, how did that happen? How do you connect the dots? And then by the time you got to issue 9, they connected all the dots and you saw where it all came together. Brilliant writing.
I agree. I feel like that not that particular issue only, but that there was a sort of a build with the Milestone properties at that point. And when the Blood Syndicate came out, there was a sort of a naturalism to the way that the story flowed and the way the characters were in the story that I'm part of the cult. Like I loved all the other stuff like everybody did, and I was collecting it and getting crazy hype about it. But Blood Syndicate was something special. Like it was something like I could feel it. I don't like realism. I hate when people talk about realism in comics because they shouldn't be trying for that. But naturalism, the idea that these people felt like people I could meet, even with the
Mhm.
superpowers, even with all the extraneous craziness that was going on. I felt them as people I understood and knew. And I really never seen that in comics before, in any comics before, like ever. So
If you ever lived in the inner city somewhere, in a big major
Yeah.
city, big urban center, there was something in this comic book you recognize. You recognize people in this comic book.
yeah.
Should be. I put them in there. I mean, literally, I'm not kidding. There will be people I see in the street. I memorize their faces, and I said that person needs to be in the comic.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like people should look like people you walk past. You know.
Yeah, yeah, and that was kind of the beauty of Milestone Comics. We talk about the unique look. Richard talked about the unique look of Milestone Comics, and part of that, surely, was the coloring process, that watercolored Milestone coloring process, which allowed for seeing the different hues of the black and brown spectrum that you didn't see in any of the comics. If you were black, you were just brown number 5 marker or whatever it was.
You were gray for years.
Yeah,
you were
or gray. You had 2 colors as a black person. You're either brown or you're gray. That's it. Milestone is literally the first comic I ever saw where you saw the whole rainbow spectrum of colors of black and brown people. And I thought that was just brilliant. And then having, ChrisCross's art, my God, that was just a whole nother level. Look, the way, and we'll get into it, but the way you humanized Brick House was dope. That was dope. Not easy to do.
I used to draw. I used to draw the Thing a lot, so it kind of worked in my favor when I got to draw it. So.
That makes sense.
Dope.
You're gonna get sick of this show tonight because it's just gonna be people telling you how great you are, Cross.
I'm trying to ignore it. The psychopath in my head will not hear that.
Wait till we get to talking about season 1. Your art on season 1.
That arm is too long. The faces are kind of, you need to go back to work.
No.
That's in my head all the time.
No.
I seldom pat myself on the back when I see stuff. Like, oh, okay, that was good. I give myself that one. But there's always some place to. Yeah, it's just the constant need to not be stale. You don't. I've been doing this for a long time, so you're always looking for new people, new techniques to remind you where you are. Maybe kind of pull a bit of technique for somebody else to see if you can do something new with your work that wasn't there before. Kind of modernize it to an extent, but kind of set it in a particular pace that makes it more pleasing to the eye. Because I'm always trying to get better. I can't not do that. So, I'm glad you got to love the stuff from the beginning, because I sit back as you're talking, my brain is going through like a whole litany of time sitting behind the desk and drawing, but going back and forth to Milestone headquarters and having a conversation with Matt Wayne and Jackie Chin Rollins, who was one of the editors. We eventually started writing also, and Dwayne McDuffie and Dennis. They were just all there, just kind of palling around. So, but getting their stuff done. So I'm bringing in pages, and of course we have like Ivan Velez will show up sometime. We just had this conversation about what needs to happen next. They have major meetings, stuff like that, and just kind of going through the whole process of what we all were when we were doing it. Because we were thinking to ourselves, oh, we're gonna be making a project that's gonna last for 30 years. We were just doing it. But I do remember seeing Dwayne McDuffie when he was alive. Rest in peace, Uncle Dwayne. We went to a steakhouse. Me, him, I think it was Derek Dingle this particular time, and who else? I think Mike Davis had pretty much. I think he left at that point. Definitely Walt Simonson was there. That was made my year, my century.
What the hell?
Way. Walt Simonson had showed up. We were just there eating. And I remember Dennis, him kind of leaning over to Dennis, kind of doing this, like, I don't know how this is happening, man. This is awesome. It's so awesome. And I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about. He's like, yeah, we didn't think it was going to blow up like this, And you could hear, I don't think he heard me saying it, but sometimes you go off on the side and we have conversations. Like when I saw Ivan Velez in the comic book convention somewhere, just showing his stuff, trying to get into the business. And he has his Tales from the Closet books that he had already published, self-published. And showing the stuff to try to get some work there. He wanted to become a writer there. And then I just come off the street, literally showing some stuff. And then, before you know, who knew that I was going to wind up taking over from Trevor Von Eaton, if you guys know who he is.
Yes, we do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay,
Black Lightning.
And James, who else was it? James, I don't remember who did issue 2. I came on issue 3. So it was just one of those things that happened. I was still in college at the time. Still finishing up classes. I don't know how I was able to do a full book and go to school at the same time. I can't tell you, but I darn near burned myself out.
20s.
Yeah, definitely 20. I don't even think of doing that now. I probably need a bunch of medical pills just to get through it. So it was crazy, but we had fun doing it. It was good to have like Dennis Cowan in your face, looking at your pages, going, "Why are you doing that?" No, I just want to know why you did it. I'm like, "Oh, it was cool." Like, no. And, why must this happen? Why must that happen? Because my thing was always everything had to be in your face, had to be constantly moving, He would just say, sometimes you have to have still shots, man. Something just you need to calm the page down a bit. Your stuff is so electric. You have to give a person's brain a chance to settle down in a panel, like psychologically. And he would show me stuff like a lot of European artists and stuff like that. Some of them I was already collecting, but he would literally show the difference between the action and how things should move and when things just need to be still. But you miss that because even now, like people coming into the business now, they don't have a one-on-one with someone like that. Yeah. Which I'm glad Milestone did their initiative because it's good to be able to reach out to the public, just people, all creeds and all diversities, to be able to see what it's like to be in that process to just do comics. It's different from movies. It's different from writing books. It's different from doing cartoons and animation. It's its own thing. And it's funny enough, I'm surprised at how many people really want to do comics. How many celebrities want to do comics, They love this stuff. It's just back in the days, you get this kind of look in your face like, you do comics? It's not a real job. It's a different job. It's a job you can't do. You have to perform on deadline. I don't know how many people can do something like that and keep doing it.
And you guys did it well in this book. Rich, what's our next part of this?
We're gonna talk in detail about the characters of the Blood Syndicate, starting off with Holocaust, aka Leonard Smalls, aka Pyre. Holocaust is one of the chief characters in this book. And has transcended, I would say. He's been seen in things outside of the typical Milestone book or whatever. He's been in animation, but he's definitely a favorite character. And in season 1 of Blood Syndicate, there is a cover that is amazing of Holocaust. And so his powers ability, of course, we know he has ability to pyrokinesis. Basically, he can just take fire, create it, and throw it at you and burn a building down or two, which he does in the first issue. So
at least a building.
Yeah. So, well, I think that you go to the scene in the Dark Knight where Alfred is talking to Bruce Wayne, and he says, some people just want to watch the world burn. That's your man right there. Holocaust. So, he's nobody to play with. He's a good villain.
What we have under powers and abilities, business management.
I weaponized my business management skill.
That's exactly it, right? I mean, you go from drug dealer to criminal kingpin who, runs his business through fear and acrimony. I mean, it's brilliant. I think that's great. But it's undeniable. He's a good businessman.
Holly don't play.
When you light your finger on fire and wave a powerful finger.
Yeah.
These people are going to listen.
So how much are you going to charge me for the supplies in this for my club? How much are you going to?
Because I'm thinking 0 is the number I like. That's the number I like.
I got some light I want to shed on the subject.
Wow.
What's our next one, Derek?
Next one, we have Tech 9, aka Rolando Texador. And this is the dude that, basically, if I'm going to rob a bank or if I got to go get them peoples, I'm taking Tech 9 with me. Because Tech 9 got plenty of ammo and plenty of guns, and he ain't scared of nobody. So, Tech 9 is very, very sharpshooter, of course. Firearms is his deal. There's not a gun or anything that's been made that has bullets in it that he can't shoot. So he's just a badass all the way around. His partner there, Wide Son, aka Hannibal White, is interesting character. The crescent on his cap is interesting because he's Muslim in thought, but not necessarily practice. Because Wide Son,
he's definitely flawed.
You never once see him pray in the comic.
Just a little bit. He's just a little bit flawed.
I think Ivan wanted to make sure that happened too. Like, no one, even if you're a Christian, you're not perfect. So, things are going to happen. You still got work to do. He's still got work to do.
Yeah, they had this one issue where they're sitting around the table, and he cracks open a 40. I think it was Dogg is like calling, how are you drinking a 40 and you're a Muslim? He's like, shut up, man.
Your dog, shut up.
But how's a dog gonna tell you your business?
Your dog's gonna tell you your faith.
I love that character, Dogg. D-O-G-G.
Too much, man. But see, that's what I'm saying, though, is that this sort of idea of flawed individuals, these people who were one thing and another thing simultaneously, that this was a quote-unquote street gang,
right?
And then it was made up of these people, and were they evil? Were they bad? They were a lot of things depending on what was going on. They were like people, and you can't overstate Velez's genius in the writing of that stuff, because again, it just had not happened. There was none of that nuance certainly in people of color in comics, and I would say in general in comics prior to that. They're very few and far between. And nothing like this. Like, these guys were as close to 3D as two-dimensional characters can get.
Yeah, I think they're still there. I don't think they really changed much.
Nope.
They were
I think people were catching up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were complicated characters because people are complicated. I think that what Velez did was simply just drew on perhaps people he knew or people that he had seen or he experienced. And, to me, I know a Wise Son. We all know a Wise Son. We know a cat in our growing up that had those thinking. He always, whether he had a Quran or whether he had a message to the black man or whatever, but he was also, to your point, Mr. Thorne, flawed. That's a part of living in the hood. That's the thing I think that what's amazing to me about this particular run and these group of characters is that they are telling us, or they're telling a story where these individuals are all living, they're together, but they're clearly living separate lives, which drives the story in itself, because they all have secrets, they all have drama. Wise Son, he second guesses himself a lot. He's very critical of others, but he's his own biggest critic, but no one knows it except him. So
right. He doesn't show it. He's got the hard rock face.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think Velez did what Cross is saying he did, though. I think he looked around in his real life and tried to inject that flavor into these people. The writer version of what Cross is saying. These people are walking by me. I'm at a bodega and somebody walks in. I'm going to put that person in my book. I think the same thing Velez was doing from the writer's side. And I think that this is like Lee and Kirby on the Fantastic Four for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is the perfect synergy of two particular artists at the right time in their careers, at the right time in their lives, at the right company, telling the right story.
Well, let's cross.
Seriously, it's like a perfect storm of everything you want to love in this kind of thing. And it was brand new, like truly new. Like, how often does that happen in comics?
Yeah.
I think there was also a friendly competition too, because Velez, Ivan would send me stuff that he would see if I could draw. And then I would, but it was a friendly competition. Like, he would try to see how much I could go at it, and then I would top it, and then he would write something else to top it, and then I try to top that too. It'd be a constant thing. And I think jamming like that brought out the best in both of us, because it made you care enough about the material to be able to really want to tell the story a certain way that other people would not. And if you don't have that kind of thing spurring you, both kind of can make you compete a bit, then I don't think you have those stories.
I agree.
Like, I can't tell you how many 5%ers I grew up around growing up. That was why, son.
Yeah,
Word is born. That's all we hear all the time, And I'm surprised he didn't. I think he might have actually said that.
I think he did at least
born,
a couple of times. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, one brother just like that. No Muslim hat, just straight up talking about the mathematics all the time.
Peace,
I'm
God.
like, okay.
Yeah,
God, there you go.
What's up, why are you trying to take me back to those days?
Yeah, man.
We all know somebody like that.
We saw all that, man, growing up. I think that's what made it such a big deal, because we were kind of saturated in that stuff, but other people outside the community didn't know about that stuff. So Ivan Velez was in the Bronx. That stuff was around there. I'm in Coney Island, playing in Brooklyn. That's going to be a big deal. Those boys are everywhere, especially in the early 90s, late 80s. So, all that stuff that's going on in front of you, that wealth of knowledge of growing up in a particular way in the hood, and other people don't know about it. They faking the funk, but when you put the stuff out there, they go, I never even heard of this. So what are you talking about? That's why we're here, to tell the stories you don't know about. And I think that's part of the situation. Even now with the whole diversity thing, I think it should be a situation more so that we tell great stories and put great characters that just happen to be us, instead of having to continuously point out that we're here and we're telling these stories. I would like to finally get to that particular point. We do matter. We've always been able to tell stories. We've always created trends. We always create styles. We make money. So it shouldn't be a surprise now.
Yeah, I agree.
You should be able to do this stuff and show this stuff. And if you see a brother doing, like, oh, okay, I like that brother stuff. And that's it. Instead of like, oh, that's a black guy.
Oh,
that guy's Latino. What's our next one, Derek?
The thing with the Milestone Comics too, nobody was walking around proclaiming their blackness or their Latinness or their queerness. They just were the thing. They were just they just were it. Like
the larger mainstream community was doing it for us. That it wasn't necessary.
And trying to pit Milestone.
You go into the LCS and it's like, I like the Milestone. Oh, you want that black book?
Yeah, right. I was like, have you read any of these books?
And try to pit Milestone against other black creators too.
Nope, it was a rainbow. Sorry, y'all. Sorry.
What's our next character?
So,
Richard,
we have Dogg, who is Tech Nine's dog. He's a dog that basically can talk.
Season 2.
All of the Blood Syndicate will appear if I'm writing season 2. By the end of season 2, 100% of the Blood Syndicate will show up.
Black Comic Lords exclusive.
I like the fact that he tells the interviewer, and I think it's in issue 1, sees the dog, and she's like, oh, is it, she says something to him, but he tells her that he was old enough to give her puppies. And I just
I remember that. I was like, oh,
what is happening in this comic book? But just out of left field for a dog to just say that, I'm like, wow. But you know
he's
what?
Still a dog, right? He's still a dog. He's just a smart talking one. He still thinks like a dog. I was like, go.
I want to chase a rabbit real quick. Speaking of a dog, I want to chase a rabbit. Chris, you said something about the competition element that was available at Milestone. And it's been my belief, as far as the writing and art of the day, that's the problem that we're having in terms of getting the best out of our creators and our artists, that the competition really isn't there. Could you just give us shed some insight into that, as far as how was the friendly competition at Milestone? Did it ever get fierce, or did you ever feel like, when you showed up, that you had to give your best because somebody was going to be in your face about it?
Well, I never had to deal with that. So like, I used to play basketball. So you know how it is when you're trying to get better. No one can be more critical of yourself than yourself. Right. And I already came in with a certain way of thinking when I drew comics, when I would draw pages, that if I'm not doing something that's representative of what I'm trying to get through here, then it really wasn't worth doing. Or I was going to continue to keep working until I became a master of it. So they never really had to say anything about it. They never looked at myself and said, "Oh, you're kind of slacking here." They always said, "We need to bring you back some because people need to catch up to you." Then when they're looking at your stuff, it moves so much, and the characters actually act, and the characters look like somebody you've seen before. And the area, like I did backgrounds too, which seemed to be a new thing for some reason. To me, backgrounds as much as storyteller, as much as a story as the actual character. So sometimes just being able to show a shot of a particular place and people kind of go, that's a really nice place. That's pretty cool. Where he got that from, And then automatically you're engaged in trying to find out where those characters are kind of moving around in that place you created. So when you get a particular book or a script coming your way, you want to be able to take the combination of all the stuff that you know and put it into that script. And whatever they ask of, you may not have been able to work that muscle before, but you want to make sure when it's out there that you're not half-stepping. So a lot of times, when Ivan Velez was showing me a script and I'll go through, like, "You really think I can't draw this, right? That's why you put that in there." He said, "No, I just want to see you do it." Like, for instance, I don't know if you remember this with the fight between Wise Son, I think it was Demon Fox in the Demon Fox issues, where he peed on that dude.
Yes.
On
We're
John
gonna talk about that.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
Yeah. Should I not say anything about that?
Yeah. Hold up. We're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on that.
Remind me because we're gonna forget.
It's gonna come up.
But that was a challenge. So that was to see what I was gonna do with it. Like how far am I gonna go with it? So I sat back and I thought about it, and I did it the way I did it, which we'll eventually expound upon later. And then, and when basically when Dwayne saw it, he started laughing. All you heard was this laughter coming out of the office. He's like, "He pulled it off. He freaking pulled it off." And remember that was the Comics Code Authority back in the days. Had that tag slapped on.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all got away with that. To be honest with you,
That's why he was laughing.
Yeah. That was a golden.
He was laughing.
That was a golden
stuff
shot.
like that, you should be able to compete. Like straight up. I did the same thing when I was working on Zero with Christopher Priest. In a lot of ways, Christopher Priest and Ivan Velez have that kind of focused, laser way of telling stories that you have to know how to draw well, and not just draw really cool scenes, but you have to know how people interact with one another to be able to draw in a way so that people you believe the script. And if you can't do it, it's not going to come out right. It's going to come out cardboard. And, that was kind of a competition. If I could pull that off, if I can direct that camera as a director, doing pullaways and have characters move their hands and do crazy facial expressions to kind of get you into the story.
It really is a collaborative effort.
That's
it is
dope, man.
And it's supposed to.
Let's get to the next character, which I believe is Masquerade. Yes, Blessed Masquerade has the ability to transform into pretty much any animal that he desires. Masquerade is a very interesting character. This is of the Blood Syndicate. We're talking about the LGBT community, first transgender character in the group. And but just a dope character in general. And I like the way when they were telling the story, how he would deal with the threat of being exposed. You know, and that's a real thing for some people in that community, being outed. And the way it was written, you know, you guys talked a little bit earlier about just writing a dope story. It made sense for them to do what they did. They weren't leading with the person's orientation or, you know, persuasion or whatever. It was just dope the way they told it. And I think there's a level of respect that Milestone should get for doing things in the 90s.
First, don't mince words. First, way out in front.
Yeah.
Way out in front.
You know, that's just dope, man. That's just a dope character.
Well, they didn't have a gay writer writing gay things. You know, he knew about it. He was gay, so the writer is gay, so he sees stuff that other people couldn't see. That's what I'm saying, bringing more stories to it, you know?
Right. Like, the tension, too, is like, it's now 2022, but in 1993, there were magazines outing people that didn't want to be outed. There were, like, that was the end of your life if you got forcibly outed. Like, there was a political sensibility that was, it's not up to you whether you're out or not. Everybody needs to be out. I don't care about your personal life. You're going to be out. I know it's better for you to be out. Damn the torpedoes, right? That level of tension, that's going to be a prime motivator in a person who doesn't want to be out, right? You're going to do things. Right. And that's what that storyline was I want to do right. I want to be in the world and do right, but I'll be damned if you're going to bust me up this way. I'm going to make choices to prevent that from happening. And the other thing that I think in terms of the queer community that gets overlooked with the Milestone in general is that at the same time, you have Fade, a closeted gay man in love with the other lead of the book and unable to express, unable to be outed also. Right. But then the Shadow Cabinet shows up and Donner and Blitzen, they're just a couple.
Yeah.
They're just like, this is my woman. This is my woman. They're not even saying that. It's just clear that they're a couple. You know,
nothing was said about it.
Yeah,
and it wasn't an advertisement either.
Yeah,
you noticed that, right?
It
never
wasn't
once. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you were there.
Go ahead.
Pardon me. But like,
I didn't want to mess with your thought.
But you know, like,
so
nobody was
no one
using
had to advertise.
It wasn't a selling point. It was like, oh, here's our very special gay issue. It was just you know, these are the people in the world. These are the people in the world we live in. All of us. So they're going to be in this book. I mean, Velez and all of the editorial who allowed this to happen, it was 1993. The 1980s were 5 minutes ago. Like, this was a baller move. This was a baller move.
The height of the AIDS epidemic and stuff.
Exactly. In the middle of that madness, right? You can't oversell what this was. A surgical ninja political strike in the form of a comic book. Like,
I don't think anybody knew what Blood Syndicate was supposed to be. I think it was just an oddity. It was just an oddity in comic books. And I remember picking up the first issue, never realized I was going to be drawn for that company. And then I would read some of the stuff and I kind of go, this is crazy. I like this. I wonder how this is going to go. I'm laughing because I had to make it go. I remember thinking that after I bought the issue and then we did what was it? Black Expo back when Black Expo was a big deal in the 90s. And we were trying to get people. Yeah, they should. Actually, I think what's his name? I forgot his name from what's the clothing company? Cross Colors. Remember
that? Oh God,
Cross Colors.
Yeah, Cross Colors. He was a big fan. He would come by. The owner, I forgot his name though. He was on Shark Tank. The brother.
That was my gear for college.
Fubu Force by.
Good Lord.
Yeah. He's big, of course, now, but he used to come by a lot too. He was in the same. He was like maybe 4 or 5 like sections away from us, but he discovered we were doing comics and stuff. He'd come by, hey, I just want to see, shake hands with y'all. We got clothing over. You want to check stuff out, but it was amazing to me the way comics were being lauded back then, because there would be sisters when we were trying to get them to read the book, like we would just give it away for free. If you want to buy it, it's up to you. But if you want to take it, read the first issue, come on back, and you want to buy some more, maybe you want to show it to your nephews or your cousins or buy it for yourself. And the woman looked at us, she was looking me up and down and go, I'm not buying or reading no stupid comics. It's for kids. I was like, you don't want to support black brothers trying to do something? Come on. She was like, I'm not reading any darn comics. And I'm cleaning it up. So I said, well, this is why we ain't going nowhere. All right. So another person shows up. They buy the book. They bought it outright, came back and bought like 4 or 5 more. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like, they gave it a chance. And, you know, when it was all said and done, there was no advertisements about who was sexually have sexual proclivities to do such and such. They were just telling good stories. That's it.
God forbid.
You know, it wasn't. They wouldn't even show. They wouldn't even tell you, look, we're black and we're superheroes, and we're out there, you know, just shooting things up. Pow, 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 pow. We're thugs, but we're geniuses. Right. Hey, you know,
telling stories about people and not worrying about checking boxes. Just tell stories.
We doing our. That's what I say. Even now, as I'm trying to put my own stuff out there, the hole that's in the market is to be able to do your work, have your voice, and just throw it out there. Don't worry about who's going to get offended. Don't worry about who's going to like it. Don't worry about who's going to be down with it or if it's marketable. Just put it out there and just tell the story.
Yep.
And whoever tags onto it, whoever doesn't, it ain't for you.
You guys were doing a masterclass every issue. It was incredible.
Amazing.
Rich, who's our next character?
Yeah. Third Rail is our next character, and that is a.k.a. Pui Chung. The biggest Asian guy I ever seen in my life. I'm just being honest. You know, this guy is his skill set, his power set, I should say, energy transference, can absorb kinetic radiant energy he comes in contact with. You know, you think about this is clearly an East Coast book because down south.
You say that almost pejoratively. No, I feel attacked.
I'm just saying. We know nothing about the Third Rail out this way, okay?
I see what you're saying. Right. Yeah. That's funny.
So
you took it back.
Just basically touch something that, you know, a live wire and just ingest the energy of it and then redistribute it to it. So he's a dope character too.
Yeah, he's the epitome of the word I get swole.
Yeah.
Actually, I love Cross's new design for him. I think it is just a thing of beauty. The way I like the original version, and his power set is great, but the way he looks 30 years later, I'm like, okay, I'm with this. So, like,
I need some minor changes in the costume, but it came out looking pretty good. Simple, but it came out looking pretty good.
Come on, man.
Next slide, Derek.
So we got what else we got? We got Flashback. Sarah Cornelius. You know,
Chris, your flashback is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. The new one or old one?
I'm talking about this one right here. Her facial expressions were just, you know, really, really expressive.
Yeah, she was, to me, she was the, I would say the not the wild card of the group, but she was clearly the one of the most important members of the group because she could literally stop time and go back in time in 3 seconds. And for us, we may think, well, 3 seconds is not really a long time, but whenever she used her power, she would get somebody to stop from getting shot or destruction totally happening. So she was very, very important.
I think it went to 5 seconds at some point.
Yeah. We're messing around with that.
What was cool is whenever her teammates heard her say duck or move to the left, they didn't question it.
Yep.
They just did whatever she said, you know, because they knew it was their life.
She's like the way, what's her name? People didn't realize that the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four was the Invisible Girl. For like 10 years, they did not realize that she was the one with the real juice on that team. Flashback is kind of like that. Flashback is scary powerful if you think about what she can actually do. So, I mean, these guys are just fun. And how scary to have someone who you should be able to beat her in a fight. But if she can jump back 3 seconds, you never landed a punch ever. I don't care what your training is. You're still never going to.
It said a lot that on 2 different instances in this series, you had a criminal organization come to the Blood Syndicate and say, we want to do a deal with you, but that deal involves us having flashback. We want flashback. Mm-hmm. We want to buy her from you. And then in Holocaust, also, when he comes back onto the scene, he's like, I want flashback. I want flashback on my team.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants flashback.
Said about her power set.
Well, to get out of jail free card. Like,
it's literally.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yeah. Here's the thing about her, though. As powerful as she is, she had an addiction.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting to see if someone was going to say it.
Yes. We talk about crack.
But Holocaust exploited this, right?
Yeah.
Like the thing that this is one of the things I loved about the writing of that character back then.
Crack being, if you remember,
Rich, your signal's breaking up a little bit there.
Yeah, I can barely hear you. Kind of a little low.
It's a little choppy.
What?
Yeah. Your audio is.
I'm sorry about that. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good.
I may have to. Okay. No, I was just going to say that, if you think about the times in the late 80s, early 90s of what crack was doing to the Black community, all of us knew somebody that did crack, unfortunately. And so for her to have that much power and be weakened by a drug, and her in the very first issue, when they rob a crack house, the job is to go in there and, destroy the crack house and get the money. But she is in a scene where you see her grabbing a handful of crack and hiding it behind her back. And, that's her struggle, in the series. She's very, very powerful, very lovely, beautiful woman. And yet this is her kryptonite, so to speak. So, but she's still a dope character. I mean, she was very sassy, very witty. And I definitely enjoyed her, her story arc for sure.
And I love the fact that she wasn't just doing crack for crack's sake. I mean, they gave Ivan wrote this motivation behind it, right? Where she's responsible for the lives of the entire team.
That's right.
And she got to see the team.
Years old.
Yeah, at that age, and she sees her team members die on a daily
over and
basis.
over again. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there was this one issue where she literally had to save their lives. She went back, I think the book said 11 times.
That's right.
Yeah, the cover was her screaming like this.
Yeah,
the cover was like her screaming. That was number 7, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, it was one of the early issues. Yeah, and she's like, do you understand what that does to me? I've seen you die so many times just to get you to life. And that's
she's the only one who remembers it. She experiences all of those events.
Right.
So when she goes back, you didn't go through that, but she did.
Yeah.
And that's in her head. I was like, this is writing a character from the inside out is a difficult trick to pull off in any medium. And to do it in superhero comics where you got 20, 24 pages and maybe Flashback gets a light on her 3 or 4 pages. Maybe she gets a whole issue sort of devoted to her. To be able to get that stuff across in that kind of space. This is why, Velez is like a beast. This was some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
When I was when I bumped into Ivan Velez, I think as I was doing that issue, and he was looking at. I think he came over. He was there at that time. He came over. He said, "You brought new pages." So he's looking through the pages. He's like, he goes, "Sucia, bendita." He's like, she's so messed up. She is so messed up. But I love her, but she is so messed up. I was like, he said, and you don't seem to care. You just drawing it. He said, dude, I do care. That's why I'm drawing it. I'm feeling these characters. It's just like seeing these characters do this stuff. I never would have known I would have been drawing characters or even drawing rock candy, quote unquote, in the hand of a particular person in a comic book, and no one would say anything about it. Wow. And people should not understand how I knew what it looked like. Like I said, living in the hood,
What?
Then there's a brother of Fade.
Yes, Fade, Carlos. has the ability to fade through, go through walls, and just pop up. I mean, when I first saw this character, thought about Vision, just being able to just go through anything. But his issue, he's a closeted gay man, to what Geoffrey Thorne was saying earlier. His struggle with that, and here's the crazy part about that. His superpower is the only superpower among all the group that's possibly killing himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
He no longer he gets to a place where it's trouble for him to like be solid, so he can just do things like eat. That's the pressure that he has as a character, and he's one of the more beloved characters in the Blood Syndicate, and many people look to him for help, particularly Wise Son or whatever. They kind of always getting into it. And one of the things that I thought was a stickler was that I think it was him that would always challenge Wise Son to be a better leader, but he would always throw Tech Nine. He would always throw Tech Nine in his face about it. And it's just one of those things where when you are a team member like he is, he doesn't desire to be the lead. He wants just the team to work. But in the team working or whatever, you know what I'm saying, he's kind of the guy that everybody kind of goes to, and he has those burdens kind of like similar to his sister, Sarah flashback. And so, he's a dope character, but his struggle is like twofold. I mean, to be in the closet, and then to be in a position where he's literally kind of dying at the same time,
fading away. He's fading away. He's fading.
Clearly,
what's also interesting is each one of these characters had their own little fatal flaw, right? Fade's fatal flaw was that he was this closeted gay man back in 1993. Fast forward 30 years, Jeff, you've got your 2022 run. He's no longer in the closet.
Correct.
So you're in essence seeing a Fade who was unfettered by that fatal flaw. So you're seeing what Fade is at his best without that encumbrance, and I thought that's kind of an interesting thing with the new run.
Well, I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead because I guess we'll get into that later. But part of the genius of the original Blood Syndicate was that it was very much of its time and place, but it wasn't.
Right.
As we used to say, it wasn't taking any shorts. It was just unvarnished. It just happened to be a superhero story, or superpowers story is a better way of saying it.
Superpowers.
And to try and transpose that situation into the present day situation, we have other things going on now. It doesn't mean they're less provocative, less heartfelt, less gut wrenching. But people who didn't live through the AIDS epidemic, like, I'm obviously not queer, but every American who went through the AIDS epidemic from the mid 80s to the mid 90s, I mean, they have no conception. COVID is nothing like what that was. Like, people were dropping like flies. They were like, it was insane. And the level of hatred and the level of sort of general paranoia that was going on in that community, you can't describe it. It's like a World War II vet trying to tell me what it was like, and the things that we're going through now, I hope that they'll be done in another 30 years, and that the people that are children now will have the same difficulty explaining, oh, yo, you don't even know what it was like back then. Like, you know what I mean? So his outness isn't the thing. But his being in the closet is a story that's been told in movies and books and comics over the last 30 years. So to sort of delve back into that when there's all this other stuff that could be talked about, I felt like, why? So,
Well, he was also the lieutenant who actually had the most common sense of the team, too.
Yeah, he was the most level-headed.
Yeah, he was there to point people in the direction when people kind of getting distracted. Like, no, this guy's getting away. Like, really, let's go. Stop arguing, flashback and Wise Son. They were always going at it. So she's telling him what to do, disrespecting him, which happens a lot to brothers. People didn't even realize most of his team was Latino.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
This is
Right.
Spanish team, quote unquote, and I say Spanish
Right.
because they speak Spanish, but a Latino team. It was and may have been. I don't even think third row. He got some play for the most part. I mean, you still respected him, but
Mhm.
it was the other thing that people don't realize too. I think in a lot of ways, phase powers is kind of like flashbacks because I think his powers deal with time also.
Yeah,
He was
because
kind
they
of faded in and
described
out.
it
It's like a
as
frequency thing.
he's
right.
phased over 3 seconds of time, and that's
Right.
why he's able
So
to.
he can punch you and then the punch hits you later.
Right.
Mhm.
He did that to Superman. So
Mhm.
if I remember that,
Yeah, I would
That's
love that
what's up.
sequence actually.
yeah. But he was able. There was a lot of cool aspects to the character, and there was supposed to be a Fate miniseries I was actually going to draw, and
Oh, really?
he was supposed to be he was supposed to fade out of existence and to find out what would happen when he did that, and he had to struggle. He had to
right.
fight to get back.
And there was that whole friendship with Kwai, who already knew him
Yeah.
from the future.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What?" But I loved their friendship, by the way. That was
they
another
were cool.
aspect of the thing.
And I think he couldn't understand why she was so not really enamored, but like so close to him. It was he was like, okay, but you tall Asian woman.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're pretty, but I don't know. We never met each other. Why are you talking like we knew each other for 50 years? Like,
you're my oldest friend.
So,
what do you mean?
Yeah. She's like, I love you. I love you, Carlos. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We've been through a lot together. You just haven't seen it yet.
Girl, I just
That's
met
trippy.
You.
What's our next flight? What's our next one?
We're gonna get to quiet. We're gonna get to quiet a little bit later on. Right now, we want to talk about Brick House. We don't have. What is Brick House's name? We don't have the AK up there. What?
Marta.
It was something with Maria.
I can't.
Marta.
Marta.
It was Marta.
Marta. MARTA, right?
Yeah.
Now, you had to remind me of that. It's been a while.
Yeah, here she is. Very, very strong. Very, very has superhuman strength, durability, able to resist any form of damage due to her rocky skin. And here's the thing about her. We talk about flaws or whatever. She has low self-esteem. She has this relationship with Third Rail, and she really loves Third Rail, but she doesn't think that Third Rail really loves her like that. She's always wondering when he's going to walk away, and she believes it's because the way she looks. But this is a human story where appearances get muddled down in connection with people. His whole thing is he sees her for who she truly is. Was this beautiful woman with this big heart, and just happens to have this situation happen to her because of the Big Bang. And that's her struggle, you know what I'm saying? But when somebody got to be put on their backside, that's who you call Brick House. But that's her struggle, in the middle of all being that powerful and at the same time, have a fatal weakness that that haunted her the whole series. But what
was interesting is Brick House was literally and figuratively done by Ivan Velez as like the wall the team leaned on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time they go into battle, what do they say? You guys who are not invulnerable, go hide behind Brick House.
Get behind Brick. Right? Yeah.
Get behind Brick. And then from an emotional standpoint, she's kind of like the ones that people would gravitate to when they've got these emotional issues because she's the one with the biggest heart. So she was literally the wall that everyone leaned on. It was kind of both figuratively and literally.
I loved her in Third being a couple too. I liked the idea that, one, that they were using their powers in order to fool around with each other, which I was like,
I was waiting for I was going to get into that. I think he proved that he loved her.
Yeah, but like he didn't care about any of that. That the growth of that relationship over the course of those several issues, I was just like, what am I reading here? This is great stuff, love is not about what you look like, and no one actually said that stupid sentence out loud. You know what I mean? It was like, come on,
and
man.
Third Rail used to really defend like Brick House. He'd go if he tried to go off on Wyatt tried to go off on one of his rants, he tried to get off on Brick House. Third was stepping in his face. Like, who you think you talking to, man?
You better back up.
Like,
man.
I will hurt you. Like, that's who he was. Like, and Wyatt was like, you stupid, man. Relax. But he had to give him props. Like, you're not messing with my woman like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. So they gave was he Korean? I think he's Korean.
Yeah, he was Korean.
He's Korean.
He's right. Korean. That Korean brother, if a Korean brother is in your gang, you better respect it. It was that kind of thing. Like, he did something around these brothers that made them respect him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's super crazy. Just like that white dude running around in a black gang. He did something to prove himself as invaluable.
We're gonna get
there's a couple of panels where Brick House and Third Rail are fooling around. And I think they go through the floor. And
yeah.
I think he either got punched or he did something to grab the energy. I think he could really get energy from just initial momentum or force sometimes. He would hit him, he would grow from that too. And then he's like, go ahead, baby, hit me. I think so.
I was gonna say he
grew up in order to have sex with her.
In that sequence, it's been a minute since I read it. Didn't he get bigger because they were having sex?
That's the point.
It's been a while.
I was like,
and then
what is happening?
She would actually have to hit on him to make him get swolled so that he was proportional.
Oh my God, that was some madness.
Why son come in to see this? Like he's on top of her. He turn around like
I'm trying to figure out how y'all got away with this back in the day.
That's what I'm thinking. Did that have a comics code sticker on it?
I'm not sure that one did, but I know at the end of it, I had to do this kind of campy wide son look. Like he came in to come say, "Hey, Third, I need to." Oh, okay, I gotta go. And they sitting there look like, oh no, he's gonna tell everybody. I'm so mortified. Oh my God, I'm just laughing behind us because I had to draw this. So I'm like, how do I do this in a way that is also tasteful, But I think Dwayne McDuffie laughed at that scene too. Matt Wayne definitely did. The editor at the time. But that was one of the things. I think that was one of the things where you guys did it, and if you weren't really in on the joke, because it's just looking at it, you don't really get nothing from it. But then when you really look at it, it's like you would be mortified by it, but like, what are they doing? I mean, it was just, to me, that's just part of the genius of Milestone. You guys were able to insert certain things in whether it was commentary or whether it was behind the scenes or in. There's a panel in one of the books, one of the Blood Syndicate books. I think it was issue 9, where if you looked at it if you looked at the wall real close, there was a thing where it says, I don't know if it said "suck it, fanboys" or something. It was like, I know somebody put that there, you know what I'm saying? But if you really didn't look at it, because I had to take a magnifying glass and look at it, it was a message, but it said fanboys. I do remember that. And I just thought, wow, that's an Easter egg that people didn't know. That's, knowing me, I probably put it there for all I know.
I was about to say, if anyone did it,
it's possible. It's very possible.
Yeah, it was because it was a part of the graffiti. Yeah, it was a part of the graffiti on the wall. But anyway, let's go to the next character, DMZ. The super silent, amazing alien.
Space
one of Icon's boy. 5-0. But I love DMZ. I love the character. I love the uniform. We know him. He has superhuman strength. He's stamina. He's got durability, and he has enhanced senses. And my favorite scene in for as in DMZ goes is the issue. I think it's 13 where they go out. They go out for the night. My man gets clean in a nice black suit. I mean, he's clean, but he gonna keep his mask.
Yeah, that mask stays on. That drove me crazy. That mask drove me crazy. I think the first thing I ever asked Cross was what was under the damn mask.
Yeah, Tamiko's showing
no one knows. No one knows.
Oh my God, that drove me insane.
I had fun doing that too. I was thinking Untouchables when I did that.
Yeah, it was
oh
dope.
my God.
Amazing story. I love that issue.
So next slide, Derek.
Okay, so we come to Boogeyman.
Boogeyman. Oh, so
Martin Berger. And has an enhanced agility, reflexes, speed, all the good stuff. He has a condition. He can speak hood rat. He has to be able to communicate with rats, but I've kind of joked and say that's hood rat for real. So, he's a white guy who's he's in the closet, so to speak. No one knows that he's a white guy until later on. And one of the things about him is that we find out in one of the panels that he's also HIV positive. It's an interesting tale with particularly with the white community. The AIDS epidemic really ravaged our community. We know that. But the white community kind of sanitized their thoughts toward it. In many cases, they were indifferent because it really didn't ravage their community like it did ours, and in the gay community in particular. But here's this guy who is down for the cause. No one questions nothing except his hygiene. But he's
a rat.
Yeah. So, but he's a solid guy, and so when they find out that he's actually a white guy, it's kind of like the jig is up. You know what I mean? It's like, really, what you doing here? Why son is like, initially he's like, you're gone, and it breaks his heart, so to speak. But then he calls them back to himself, and that's a nod to there are white people that live in impoverished communities, and they live among the black and brown people because they're kind of forced to, and so they have to like the people that are there, they have to adapt, and so and you get no lower than a rat if you think about it, and that's why I'm saying
technically the roaches.
The roach war.
The roaches. The roaches.
Wish I had to draw that too, and that drove me nuts. I got the reference from.
Drawing all those little individualized roaches, that must not have been fun.
There was no Google at the time. Don't ask where I got the reference.
You better polish off those insect skills.
If you lived in New York,
yeah,
you have to go far.
I'm about 3 seconds from making you do that again just from this conversation.
Man, look, I'm gonna tell you something. Say what you want. I'm gonna be honest.
I'm not drawing no more roaches, man.
Bring back the white roaches.
The lair of the white roach. That was a fun book, man. That was a fun book.
The good thing was that Dwayne McDuffie usually would have a discussion where I was going to put on the cover. And they didn't know what to do. So I said, I'll come up with something. And when I brought it to them, when I showed them that, they were like, oh. All right, we'll put that up. Because that's the only one they were getting, because they weren't getting any more roaches from me. And I had to draw a whole issue for them things.
Yeah.
I mean, what other comic has a roach rat war?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, East Coast, West Coast. That's what's up. So our next slide is
which one's East Coast? I don't even want to ask you that.
What difference is it?
So Quai.
There were roaches on East and West Coast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but I know Louisiana got flying ones though.
Well, you know what? Listen, down south we got them. You ain't experienced the roach until you see the cockroach fly.
No, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, that's Georgia, Louisiana. I know what's up. You don't want to see none of that.
I know they hiss, I know they fly, and I don't want to see none of them.
Oh man! So we come to Quai, aka
Wonder Woman.
Asim Puquay. He's a Chinese mystical. Here's the cool thing about this. Blood Syndicate is a street book, but you guys literally shift gears and go into the Chinese mystical realm and give us this beautiful character and the demon fox, of course, And her first appearance is Blood Syndicate #5. She has the ability to transform into an ancient. Well, you know, she's an ancient Chinese mythological being. You know, she's a magic being. That's all I can really say. You know, for the most part. You know, she has the ability to, you know, be empathetic. You know, being a mystical creature or whatever. She's seen life in 77 iterations. All to fight her sister, the Demon Fox, which is crazy to me. But I just like the way Milestone, what you guys did in just bringing these mystical elements to this street book, because that's just like completely out of left field. And when the Blood Syndicate goes to her realm, where she's from, I just thought that in the later issues, I just thought that was just so dope, man, to have a bunch of people from the hood just kind of bug out and being in this mystical realm with the Monkey King and all that. I mean, that was just dope. I mean, you talk about comic books being fun, man. This was a fun comic book. I mean, it had a lot of serious, deep and dark things to it, but a lot of the elements were very, very light, very, very funny. I mean, you know, Wise Son, that dude literally has me cracking up every 3 or 4 pages, because he always says something crazy, and he's the guy that's willing to say what you're thinking. You may not want to say it, but Wise Son has no problem speaking his mind. So yeah, she's a dope character.
What I loved about Kwai is a couple of things. One, she was that character who was one of the first ones to tell the Blood Syndicate, you know what, I'm going to hang out with you guys. I have lived 77 lifetimes, and I've seen what you and I can recognize what you guys really are. And Wise Son is like, yeah, we're a gang, we're down for each other. He's like, no, you're warriors. You're warriors, and you can be so much more than what you are. And from that conversation, you see Wise Son starting to listen to her more. You see Wise Son has a very interesting respect for her. When she gets in trouble and she's disappeared, and they're like, yeah, Wise Son, we need you to go down to the mystical realm. We need you to go to the bowels of hell. He's like, ain't no, all right, let's go.
Let's go.
He didn't even hesitate. It's like, you're going to hell. I live in Dakotas, Paris Island, so you know, it's another day ending in Y. Let's go.
Yo, I love Hannibal.
I love that.
Both versions. Hannibal is a flawed, messed up dude, but he's the dude you want on your team when everything goes to hell. He's that dude, right? Yeah. He will stand on the line with you. And I think each one of these characters has that kind of. I loved Kwai when she showed up. Everything you said, yes. And the other thing about it was, again, this was a very subversive book because these were hood folks, and they felt like real hood folks. And then all of a sudden, this goddess shows up, and she's like, not only am I treating you as equals, but that you can be helpful to me. You can be allies with me. I have affection for you. This Thor level character who's dealing with Thor type of crap, right? She didn't run to Icon. She didn't run to Hardware. She's rolling with this crew. And I'm like, I reckon she says almost what you said, almost explicitly. I recognize what you are, not how you're dressed. Right. And I was like, what has happened? Every few issues, I was like, what is going on with this book? Like, it was just like, damn.
Well, and shout out to ChrisCross on the design. I mean,
I love fantastic. I love Kwai.
Looks fantastic.
I added to it, but it was also that was me and Ivan jammed on it. This was purely Ivan's character. He interjected her into the series. And he thought he has a real love for Chinese mythology and Chinese kung fu movies. I'm trying to remember, was the White Witch? The White Witch was the one with the white something. They'll come to me. It was one of those characters. Huh?
White Lotus?
No, I don't think it's that. It's a one of these.
I think I know what you're talking about. The White Witch. There was a movie, a kung fu movie.
Yeah, she also did straps.
Lair of the White Witch or something like that.
The silk strap that she fought with, and he kind of had this idea to make her do the same thing. But of course, to Wonder Woman levels, you know, she was also super strong. She could fly and all this other stuff also. But there's a lot of other things that she could pull off also. But she only came because, of course, her sister, or Demon Fox. But if the Demon Fox was done, I'm sure she'd be through with Blood Syndicate. And I think people fail to realize that's a 8-year-old girl.
Yeah. But did she ever come back as the 8-year-old?
I don't think so.
At the end, when Kwai battled Demon Fox and ultimately sacrificed herself to destroy Demon Fox, Nina Lamb came back in the final issue.
Okay. That must have been way after I left or something. I didn't really. I was too busy to keep up.
Kwai was the 77th and the last incarnation of this musical.
That was in the final issue. So what's our next character? Is this our last? Okay, this one.
That's actually one of my favorite characters.
Me too.
Her and DMZ and definitely Aquamaria.
Yeah.
That's not an easy character to draw, was it?
Marina.
Actually, she's easier than the rest of them.
Really?
Yeah, very few lines.
A lot of bubbles, you know.
Yeah.
Basically draw a linear character, just color it in.
You know, dope character, only spoke Spanish, and you know,
it was weird to see her doing it in this issue. You know, like she had an attitude too. I was like, this is not the Aquamaria I remember.
This cover here is from season 1. That matter of fact, that just came out. Who's the cover artist on that?
They said it was a sister, a white girl. I think.
Okay. Well, either way,
definitely a female artist.
That's an amazing. She's
really good
cover. Yeah, that's dope. So we do know that she had
a Holocaust issue. That was pretty good too.
Man, that's great.
What was interesting is whenever they showed her come out of the water, did you ever notice the color of the water in Dakota? It was always this brownish, greenish water, which, if you remember New York water in the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, definitely
it looked just like that. Definitely looked like that.
Her name's Juliet Neka. Double N.
But I would draw underwater. You see sneakers kind of floating underneath it.
Right.
Like ball bearings and stuff.
Freaking
it was bad. Yeah.
You captured that.
She's
able to draw like beautiful ocean. I mean, you drew what it looked like in a city's water.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
she's able to raise the temperature of the water. She's able, she has cryokinesis, create structures and weapons out of ice. I thought that was one of the coolest, her cooler powers, whatever.
Yes.
There's I can't remember what issue it was where we got that, we got to see those ice structures, whatever. Just an amazing
fight against Holocaust. That was dope.
Yeah.
We got one more character to cover, and that's the villain, Demon Fox.
Demon Fox.
Yes.
That was the character that Ivan and I jammed on.
When is this character going to pop up, you guys?
Well, we already saw a little slice of Demon Fox in issue 3, because Flashback's powers went a little bit haywire, and she jumped way forward into the future where Kwai and the Demon Fox were going at it along with everybody else.
I love that splash page, by the way.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I wanted Kwai in the book in a worse way, but I could not figure a way to do it in the story that we were telling. And we only had the 6 issues. And I was like, I can't just squeeze her in. She's my favorite character. And I was like, ugh! But the thing that you mentioned about, and it hasn't really come up because we only have the 6 issues, but Carlos and Sarah's powers are both time related. And theoretically, Flashback's powers are relatively limited, but when they are in close proximity to each other, all kinds of weirdness can happen. So she jumped way forward and was bouncing around in time, which allowed us to see Kwai, a future version of Kwai. When Kwai does show up, she won't look like that because that was way in the future. And you saw a future version of the Demon Fox. But again, the Demon Fox, hopefully it will be cross-drawing these people again, that when they show up in the present day, they won't look like they did in that flash forward because that is maybe years and years away. So I've enjoyed very much Cross's redesigns. I don't tell him anything. I'm like, here's the character. do your thing, brother. And I have been nothing but thrilled with the way that they've come back. So
who's the brother that does that? Silk? Is it
Silk? Yeah,
right.
Silk.
So now, was that a character that was before you just made him, or you just added him in?
I just made him up.
Okay.
But
because they did have a woman, a guy who was transsexual, who was doing fashion and all kinds of
the house a little more Kuka.
Yeah, those things are not gone. There's I don't want to say too much. I've said this in the constant arguing about Green Lantern, but that nothing that we do in these books is by accident, and that things that seem like they're just throwaways or just like nice little bits that we tossed in, depending on how long we get to run, you may find out that thing you thought was nothing is actually something fairly significant. So the one drawback that we have that Cross and Velez did not was they had an ongoing comic book. They got to go straight from 1 to 35, basically, right? I have to do this in 6-issue seasons. So it's different. I don't know exactly what I can do. Like, there's a lot of big ideas, but you only have so many pages. So there's things that we're seeding in season 1 that will start to bear fruit in seasons 2 and 3. And characters, like smaller characters from the original run, I don't believe between me and Cross certainly that anyone's forgotten anybody. It's just how and when best to introduce them more than we're not going to do that. We're doing everything. It's just. So
did you just confirm that there's going to be a season 2 and 3?
I mean, I'm planning. I told those guys when I got the gig, look, I don't know how much I can commit to. It was really doing Green Lantern was great fun, but it is not my primary career. And occasionally my primary career would be like, well, you doing comic books, man? You better get your butt over here and get back to work, But I was like, so I don't know how much more I can do past this. And so when I got in with the new Milestone guys, I was like, look, I love Blood Syndicate. Thank you very much for this opportunity. All the things that you want to say, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go past this first season. About midway through, I was like, yo, if we get to do more, you better let me do more. Like you will pry this book out of my cold, dead fingers. Let me put it to you like that. Like, because it's so rich and there's only so many issues. Like if it was an ongoing, I might burn myself out by issue 20 because it would be the monthly, right? The monthly grind. Chris knows what I'm talking about. But
it'll have to be done in a special way. But
6 issues at a pop. Yeah, 6 issues at a pop. That gives us time to think about it. Gives him time to design. Right? Like the next arc won't be like this arc. Some stuff's going to happen in issues 5 and 6 that's definitely going to change the game. But when if they ask me back and I've let them know I want to come back, I hope it's the same team. Basically, I always want to, I want it to be the same team and want to keep going with these people. Silk was there partly to be part of the life that Carlos is living since he's not in the closet. Silk is created to be that spouse who's not necessarily on the front line with you, but isn't taking any crap from you and will pull you up by your bootstraps, if not your bootstraps, but you know what I mean? Like everybody's got a wife or a husband or a girlfriend or a boyfriend that's like, I mean, you can try that crap with your people in the street, but this is me. Right? Like you better find another game.
Crying holding a teddy bear, boy. You gotta relax.
Yeah, I know all of your crap. So you're gonna have to play it straight with me. Silk is there for that. Like Silk is not a frontline fighter. Silk is not trying to get in, but Silk's power set is pretty formidable when you think about what he can actually do. So there'll be more characters like that throughout. So flesh it out. Good
to know.
He's making those
guys, we're going to transition and get into the books, but before we do, we're going to take a quick break. Just going to be a few seconds, and we'll be right back with starting with issue number 1 of Blood Syndicate. Derek, where you at? Don't forget, go to blackcomiclords.net. Get you some merch. That beautiful shirt that Paul has on, you can get that. That sticker that Tamiko just showed you, you can get that. You can get that on a shirt. You can get that on a mask. You can get that on a backpack. You can get that on a mug. You can get that on you can get that on anything. We got it for you. We got some heat for you. Go to our website, blackcomiclords.net. And check us out. Let's go.
Whoop.
Well, here we're back.
We're back. Please go visit our website, blackcomiclords.net, where you can get all your merch. You can get comic book keys, grails. We got it all for you right there in one spot. So that's what's up. Fellas, we are getting ready to talk about these books. The time is, man, we're almost an hour and a half in. We hadn't even got a chance to talk to you. So let's just start to hit this.
We've been talking about it as
well.
Let's just hitting, you know, in and out like a robbery. We're gonna be like the Blood Syndicate. We're just gonna hit this and we're gonna run. So, issue number 1. This is our first appearance of the Seeing the Blood Syndicate, art by Trevor Vonnie. Now, let me say something about Trevor Vonnie, because Black Lightning is my favorite Black character, and so Trevor Vonnie has a special place in my heart. When I first saw Black Lightning on the spinner rack at a convenience store in my neighborhood, I was in love. Not necessarily with Black Lightning the character, but it was Trevor Vonnie's art that drew me in. So shout out to Trevor Vonnie, and I've been loving his stuff ever since. So the Blood Syndicate number 1, we meet the Blood Syndicate. Story takes place where an interviewer wants to go down to Paris Island and meet the Blood Syndicate. And so nobody goes to Paris Island anymore because the Blood Syndicate done ran off the drug dealers. Well, most of the drug dealers. They done ran off the police. They done ran off everybody that is there that's infringing on their territory. And so she wants to have this interview with them because she wants to find out what really happened with the Big Bang. And so to do that, she has to go down and talk to the people that were there. And so here are the Blood Syndicate in that panel. We see Third Rail, DMZ, Tech 9, Fade, Holocaust, Masquerade, Flashback, Brick House, and Y-Sun. So what are your thoughts, guys, about this particular issue being introduced to the Blood Syndicate?
Pure love.
I don't know. I like the way that they did it from the perspective of the news reporter Rob Chaplik. That introduction where you see her, it's kind of like going through the 9 levels of hell, Dante's Inferno, right? Because here she is, she's in Dakota proper, and you see her having to take the train that's automated because no one's willing to work the trains. And then, you see her go through these different levels and going to the worst. It gets worse. From one block, it's worse. And this next block is even worse than that until she ultimately ends up in the dead zone in Paris Island where the Blood Syndicate's at. I just thought that was an interesting way to do it.
I never thought of her as being Virgil. Interesting.
That's funny. That's very funny.
And now I'm kind of thinking about it, I guess, if you look at that.
I think too, I didn't notice this at the time. I wasn't a professional writer at the time, obviously, but one of the things that was true in the 90s, especially with comics that had a focus of people of color, was that there was still a thought of, now look, the primary audience out there is white kids. So let's let's give that point of view. I thought it was an interesting choice to not give the origin in issue 1, but issue 1 is from the point of view of a white person. It's not from the point of view of these main characters, right? It was, hey, white folks, come on over here to this part of the neighborhood that you never go to, right?
Ghetto tour guide.
And, you know, yeah.
Ghetto tour guide.
At roughly the same time, you have Black Panther getting its resurgence under the hands of Christopher Priest, who gave us Elliot Ross. Again, the point of view of a white guy examining this very powerful Black man. Modern audiences, I don't think, appreciate the needle that needed to be threaded by those writers back then. But it was a real one, and they did it expertly, I thought, especially with Blood Syndicate, because you were immersed in a way that was sort of it was sort of realistic. Like you could almost see like a 60 Minutes or 2020 news show about what the hell is going on Coney Island, or what the hell is going on in Staten Island. You know, they blew up the bridge. What's been going on for the last year? Well, our reporter is going to go in and find that out for you, America. You know, and that was issue 1. And I was like, okay, I'm here. Let's go. You know?
Yeah, this ain't your normal Fallujah.
Oh my God. And it was like, this is some newness. This is the new hotness, whatever you want to call it. I was about to swear, but I caught myself. And this was a way to bring you in. And I just thought it was a really deft, I really respected it. It was one of the few times back in those days where I would pull out the writer. Like I would remember the name of the writer. Like I didn't know, I was very art focused in those days. And if a writer could make me go, oh, I need to find out more from this person because of this trick they just did. That was, Velez is undersung. Velez's work on this book is not.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
Not appreciated.
What's our next book?
So we're going to Blood Syndicate number 2. As you see, my man Tech 9 is unloading on Holocaust. So we see a situation where the 2 alpha males in the group, Holocaust and Tech 9. Tech 9 is the quote unquote leader, but Holocaust is like, why you get to be? I want to be the leader. So they get into it, and you know that funny thing is that's how issue 1 ended. It ended with a fight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, just think about this for a moment. Think about this for a moment. You know, timid white woman is there to interview the Blood Syndicate. The first thing that after Third Rail takes her to meet the group, she you know, basically says, you know, he says, hey, here's the Blood Syndicate or whatever. And Wise Son says, who's the bitch? That's the first thing. So she's already jolted. Then she see these 2 alpha males square off. And Holocaust is lighting stuff up. And Tech 9 is got a full clip. All of this is happening, you know, all of this is happening in front of her. So she's got to be at this point mortified looking at this. Like, what have I done? Why am I really here? Because that's the thing about Mr. Thorne, you said, you know, talking about when white people are able to go into these spaces. I think about shows like Gangland and other documentaries where they have the Bloods and Crips. And there's always some, you know, straight shooter white guy with a tie or whatever that's just kind of like clearly out of place to go into the dangerous element. And the very people that these people live around won't go near them.
Right.
But they're able to do, like, you know, a couple of Mormons and get a pass or whatever.
Well, it's like armor, right? It's like some sort of social body armor, right? Like nobody's shooting the white guy in the suit. Nobody's doing anything to the white guy in the suit.
No, right? No.
Off limits.
That's a superpower all in of itself.
You know, but any of that smoke, man. And then they say there's no such thing as privilege. I'm like, oh, really? Although, here's an interesting thing that was roughly the same time period. Young people won't remember this reporter, but he was a giant deal, Ted Koppel.
Copper.
It was like
Ted Copper.
a reporter.
Like him, a redhead.
Right, he was everywhere, and he would go in places like, "Damn, Ted, aren't you like a 5 foot nothing and a $120 wet? What are you doing?"
And major attitude too, boy.
Right, and he was
major
not
attitude.
Yeah, Ted would get in anybody's face, right? I think he ran Nightline at the time, and they were doing something about the crisis in Detroit. Because again, people don't remember what Detroit was like around this time. This was one of those cities where it was like, there's a reason the RoboCop movie was set in Detroit. They were worried about Detroit. Everybody was worried about Detroit, right? In the middle of a broadcast, from a live broadcast, somebody stole the news van in Detroit. And I was like, did that just happen? What just happened? Right? But that is the kind of vibe that was happening back then at the time that this book was coming out.
Yeah.
Like, that was the America we were living in. And it was just everything, man. Everything.
Yeah.
Blood Syndicate 3.
First full appearance of Boogeyman. Boogeyman is I mean, look at that cover. That dude is gross. I mean, he's literally got something drooling from his, and of course, rats are disgusting, and he is just that. He is a rat, whatever, for the most part. But I remember seeing that, and I was like, what is that? You know what I mean? But this is comic books, so I'm saying the more crazier the better. So I just love his character. He's very, very funny, very engaging character. Shout out to you, Chris, for putting together the artwork on this. I mean, you gave us, I mean, the art itself is just amazing. You know what I'm saying? But it's like I want to put something like that on a poster, but my wife would kill me. That's not going to happen. But I just like the art that you. I mean, think about it. I mean,
that will not do with your decor.
My God.
I grew up with Creepy. I grew up with Eerie. Those monster mags, right? And that's what that is. That's something off of Creepy.
Yeah, he's horrifying, right? He's really horrifying.
Yeah.
Also, that's what you get for marrying a civilian. I have no sympathy for you.
Yeah, just to note, this is ChrisCross's first work on Blood Syndicate as well.
I wanted was already done, so I was like, oh well, here you go.
So our next slide there.
That's just dope. I love it, man. I love it. Blood Syndicate number 4. So the Blood Syndicate, now here's the thing about criminals. There should be honor among thieves, right? But they are not above going into a hospital. We hit crack houses. We gonna rob a hospital today. I mean, that's just. I mean, it gets no gangster than that. But this happens to be a hospital where the Bane babies are being experimented on. So there's some virtue in what they're doing, and so the fallout of this is, of course, Tech 9 dies, and I was kind of bummed out. And here's the thing,
I was pissed.
This is Game of Thrones in a comic book, because in Game of Thrones, main characters just go. Nobody is safe, and you take out one of the most important characters after 4 issues. Okay, let's go. But this is what happened. And if you're looking at the panels there, you see my man strapped to a gurney, and all the experiments that they're doing. I mean, it was pretty horrible when you think about it. Our history in this country, being exposed to medical experimentation, kind of mirrors something like this. Some people think that, oh, that's just too crazy to even think about that. But when we think about things like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, no, this is American history. This stuff happens.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It lets you know where you're living too, right? Like, you set this guy up to be one of the main characters, and issue 4, he's out, and you're like, oh, okay. I guess we're living here. Oh, okay.
That was my favorite character too.
Yeah. Poor Jack.
So what's our next one?
So we moved to Blood Syndicate number 6. Ivan Villegas' first solo book, because he had been prior working with Dwayne McDuffie. What is that noise? Okay. This is the issue where my man's just really takes it to the next level. He says to the dude, there's no way you can dishonor me. There's nothing you can do. You just kill me. Just kill me. He's like, no. Oh, we can go there. And proceeds to, do we have that slide?
I hope so. I definitely asked for it.
Derek, do we have that slide? We need to know we don't have that.
Oh, I tell you what,
Yeah.
I'll find it. I'll find it. Keep going.
That was number 6.
Yeah. Suffice to say, the first time a golden shower was taking place in a
Oh
comic.
my God. Oh my God.
So we come back, circling back to this point. Okay.
Oh my God.
So
We
in
draw a circle.
this story, we have John Wing, who's like the head of the Chinese mafia, the Tong, and he basically hires this group to go take out the Blood Syndicate. He was not successful, at all. So he's defeated, and he's like, and they're like, well, we could kill you. He's like, you could kill me. Go ahead and kill me. At least if you kill me, I will die with my honor intact. And Wise Son's like, your honor. So that's we don't want that to happen.
We don't care about that.
So instead, this is Wise Son's zip, and he
Tinkle.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that got a Comics Code stamp on it.
I'm
to
telling
this
you,
day,
when I
I can't
those 2
figure
pages
out
in,
how Milestone got away with this with the Comics Code.
Oh my God.
when I
I
brought
mean,
those
that
2
is
pages in, I'm telling
that
you.
is a literal puddle. And guess what, y'all? That's a 40-ounce puddle. That's a whole 40. Like, he let a whole 40 go. Look at that pool, bro.
Wise Son had a
Make
full
sure
bladder.
you knew what was happening.
Can you guys hear me?
There was no
His
ambiguity
face.
here.
His face is like, what are you doing? Yeah.
And I had not
Y'all tell
read
us.
that
We
far.
can't really say
I
something.
hadn't read that far, so I asked them. I was like, "Is that really what happened?" And then I
was
went
like,
through my
yeah.
box, and I was like, "Okay, alrighty then."
Yeah.
Man.
See,
Can you guys hear
there's
me?
a reason why Blood Syndicate.
Yeah, we can hear you.
is-
We can hear you.
is-
Okay.
is
Every time
one
you
of
say,
our
"Can we
favorite
hear you?"
Okay, something was wrong with the mic. It went.
You
Like, what kind of
and
black
Ivan
and stuff?
Velez were just wilding out back then.
No kidding.
Yes, we
man.
were.
Was there any
Um,
supervision at that place? It's like, good Lord.
I was kind of. I don't even think we even talk about the comedy of the thought process of John Lang doing what he's doing, and his daughter happens to be the very antithesis of who he is, and who's going to stop the very thing he was worshiping. I think the mother knew that she was magical, right? Or did they both? Know?
It was the father, because it was the father's family bloodline.
Right.
Right.
Okay. It's like see how long it's been. I can't remember. That's why he killed the mother buried in the basement to bring in Demon Fox sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
Demon
happened
Fox
with
dealt with him pretty quick.
Man.
Did you ever
I tell you what, so here we
get
go.
pushback like on certain stories that you just weren't allowed to do?
Well, that
Like-
one got a lot of laughter.
Really?
They got there's like the balls you guys have must be 2-ton tanks, because the fact that you were able, like I said, once again, I came into the office and I see Matt Wayne. He's doing this. You got the pages, right? You got the pages, and I'm like, why? What's going on? He said, we have to see how you did that scene. You gotta see. And I said, the night before I finished it, I was like, how am I gonna do this? I can't show the penis. I can't show that. Like, he can't whip it out. Like, that can't be done. So how am I gonna pull this off? Like, and I just said, you know what? I just have him zip, like close up of the zip. you see the stream with speed lines behind it, and then we'll put speed lines on top of a floor of urine, and then you just see this big old puddle on his stomach, which was comical no matter what happened.
And then
you just, these to this day, I know what that looks like.
So that
Wiz with speed lines behind it. That no one can ever say they did that. I will challenge anybody to say, as an artist, you were able to draw a stream of urine with speed lines behind it.
Comic book history was made. Comic book history was made.
Exactly. Oh, and the fact that he's laying there like, oh my God, what did you do? You know,
complete
and
disbelief.
He's got that face on him, you know, that big old puddle. And what was even worse was the color. Like, what was like, if it hits the clothing, right? It's not gonna be like this bubbly, you know, this, I don't know, this, what do you even call it? Like this ocean around him like that. It's gonna get absorbed.
You could tell Chris put a lot of thought into this.
I had to. It's like there's no way they're gonna allow me to put this in if it doesn't look right. And no matter what you did, it look right. He has a puddle on his stomach.
Oh my God!
Hey, look, I can imagine the conversation with the colorist is like, okay, is this bright yellow you want to use? We go dark, lighter,
dirty yellow.
Oh my God!
How much water did Wise Son drink that day? I mean,
all the water. He was ready.
I told you that was a 40. That wasn't no water. That was all 40 ounce right there, bro.
40. That was cold 45 right there.
That's cold 45.
Cold 40.
That was some St. Ides.
St. Ides, word.
What's our next issue, Derek?
Let's go to our next issue. Issue number 6. Sometimes 3 seconds isn't enough. Mm-hmm. And this is the. We didn't. Did we talk? I was saying we didn't talk about.
Okay. No. We talked about the cover. That's it.
I'm sorry. Issue 10.
Yes.
Blood Syndicate members' secrets revealed. So this is the beginning of the Shadow War crossover, so to speak. And what can we say? I mean, you know,
the thing about secrets. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the thing about secrets is that they have a tendency of finding you out, you know, or things will, you know, be revealed and things will be discussed that you initially were trying to hide. You know, it's almost better to live free and in the open and versus harboring things. So, you know, like the title there says, the Big Bang was just the beginning. You know, it's speak to that, Paul, and as far as this issue goes.
Yeah, so like Demon Fox, one of her powers or abilities is to tell half-truths that will just shake you to your core. Find out what your secrets are and tell a half-truth that will just disrupt your entire mind. And so she did that to the Blood Syndicate. It was a very good literary device on Ivan Velez's part because at this point, we talked about how the origins got revealed in issue 9, right? Issue 10, you got to learn some of the secrets. So this is where, you know, Fade finally sort of is the first time he says, "Yeah, I'm gay." You find out Masquerade is found out by Fade as actually being a woman. And just on and on. You find out Wise Son actually has a son. You thought that the 2 little children were his siblings, and you find out that the boy is actually his son, Edmund.
Yeah, son.
Who and those kids themselves have powers. They have the ability to transport themselves.
Usually through mirrors, right?
Yeah, through mirrors. They write where they want to go on the mirror, and the 2 of them together can, you know, go travel.
But Paul, real quick. The most ghettoest thing that you can do, I gotta say this, the most ghettoest thing you can do in the Black community is call your parents by their name. He literally calls his father Hannibal. I'm like, I've seen that. All of us have seen that. I think it's weird. But I could never call my dad.
I have no
What's
idea
up, Joe? I could never do that.
Nope, not in my house.
Nope.
My mother literally said, "I will smack the black off of you."
Nope. I don't even.
So
it wouldn't
we
even
didn't
be a
do
thought
it.
process. Like I wouldn't even cross my mind.
Nah, there's too much reverence. I couldn't go around calling my father Joe. Nah, he was who are you talking to?
Yeah,
That'd be the immediate answer.
You better take that bass out your boy.
Exactly. You better walk outside, come back. You're in the wrong house.
You're in the wrong house. You better go check that number.
Mm-hmm. My mother was like,
Well,
I was.
Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just thought I had to mention
the
that.
fact that I'm still here
Funny.
to this day is a testament to the fact that I've never done that. That's all I got to say on that. Issue 13. We talked about this is their night out on the town and those great designs that Chris did for the squad as they went out.
Yes.
Although interestingly enough, although the covers fly, actually all these people didn't actually go out into the club that night. It was actually let's see, Flashback, Fade, DMZ, and
Boogeyman, right?
Boogie, yeah. They went to
Brickhouse. You know, they basically went.
Brickhouse ended up staying home.
Yeah.
She didn't go.
Wait,
I believe
sick?
she
No, I think Quiet healed him by that time. I thought he was sick because of Demon Fox, so he didn't go out.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
I know that she got a makeover, and the group was like, you know what, we need to go out. We need to go out and celebrate. Yeah. So, you know, and of course that's when, you know, they run into your boy Holocaust, aka Pyre.
So I think people give him issues with the whole Holocaust name.
Talk about his name change, if you will, sir. Because there's an interesting backstory to that.
You didn't see it in this book. I actually got that from when we were doing the Icon story. Holocaust had his own book called My Name is Holocaust. And in that series, it's kind of like the things that you see that you are alluded to in Blood Syndicate, but you don't actually get to see, which is when Holocaust left the Blood Syndicate in issue 2, he formed his own criminal empire. He managed to join the cabal of criminal organized crime that existed in Dakota, and one of the members required that in order for him to join the cabal, he had to change his name to Pyre. So that was kind of a requirement. Now, what later happens is he ultimately takes over that cabal and kills the guy who made him change his name, and in doing so says, "My name is Holocaust." So that's where that came from. Yeah. His name was changed to Pyre because he was required to change it, but he wasn't happy about it and ended up killing the guy that made him do it.
Yeah, Holocaust doesn't play.
It was such a Holocaust thing to do.
Holly does not play.
He was about that life. I mean, think about it. He burned the hospital down. He burned the hospital down, and they were running around scrambling, trying to help the people, the innocent people, the civilians, and he just sat there and just watched it burn.
What's our next one, Derek?
And drove off in his G-Wagon.
Issue 25.
So, issue 25. This is a commemorative issue in that it celebrates the 3rd year anniversary publication of Milestone Comics. And Tech 9, or who we think is Tech 9, returns.
Spoiler.
So,
excuse me, folks, I got to step out for a minute, but I will be back.
All right.
Sorry about it. Real life stuff.
Okay, I'll hold you down. I got you. I'll speak for you too.
So, you know, Tech 9 comes back, and everybody's kind of shocked to see him. And you know, you would think everybody would be happy, but everybody's not. And that the follow-up behind that, you know, we learned later on that this isn't really the Tech 9 that Tech 9 is really gone. But
save that for the last issue.
Okay, sorry. Spoilers. And anyway, but that's you know, the biggest thing. Yeah, the biggest thing though is that he returns, and this was an exercise issue. And let me say this: the Milestone books, even though that was 48 pages, these are very quick reads. And they I think which made them fun. You know what I mean? You really got your money's worth. when it came to these books. And 48 pages in a comic book can be very long, but for the most part, this was a quick read because each was the books are page turners. It's like what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And so even though it's 48 pages, and there have been other books that they put out too that have been just as long, but they don't feel long. Some comic books you can read and they'll just feel like, okay, well, get to the point. Milestone didn't have that issue. They kept you engaged and entertained.
Yeah,
looking at issue
between Aaron Velez and ChrisCross, they balanced out that the exposition and the art to really get a good clip.
Yeah, man.
I remember drawing those 48 pages too. That it didn't. I guess you felt like it was short for you, but for me, it was like, oh, it's a cow. But I had fun with that particular issue, and I think that's the second time when we did that's the first time we did a double-sized issue. The second one was with Shadow Cabinet, I think. Yeah, and that felt the same way too. Just like, oh my God, 48 pages. But yeah, we definitely had fun with that issue, and I'm glad that you said that it was like a quick read to you, because I always try to psychologically try to trick the reader to kind of move on from panel to panel and make it such a seamless transition and smooth that you didn't realize you went through the whole issue. It was like, oh, I'm done already.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I missed something. I need to go back.
Yeah,
I mean, you fully absorbed the characters. You just got it.
Right. I mean, the thing is that the art itself is amazing or whatever, but you guys wrote action. This was an action comic, which meant that there was a lot of dialogue, but it wasn't dialogue where you just inundated with a lot of wording or whatever. I mean, you guys were always moving. What I'm saying? That was the thing about the Blood Syndicate book. I thought that was dope. That it's a comic book that just moves. You don't have time to going back to the issue where the guy gets pissed on, you might look at that a second time, right? Yeah. But for the most part, you're going to keep moving because the action is always going. So right. That's I can't say enough about Milestone. I honestly believe that you guys, for the work that you did for over 30 plus years, man, I mean, can't nobody check y'all, bro. I'm just being honest. There's some dope artists and some dope writers today, but the stuff that y'all did, man, classic, amazing, stands the test of time. Just us being able to talk about it in these forums or whatever speaks to that. You know what I'm saying? Some of the guys that we hang out with, collectors, wanted to do this because it's like, man, we need to really sit down and talk about some of these stories and some of this art, because we ain't seen nothing like it since. We've seen competitors or whatever, but I think you guys set the bar so high from an artistic standpoint, from a writing standpoint. Everybody's still playing catch up to y'all. So shout out to y'all.
I remember the 25th what do you call it? The big word I was going to think of, but it's kind of escaped me. But there was this 25th year anniversary in Philadelphia, I think it was, when we were doing this whole big deal about Milestone. And it was just amazing that the amount of people that showed up, and the fact they still remembered it, and they still was like, this stuff is still relevant today. Like, did you guys even realize that? And I was like, no, we were just doing it. We were just kind of having fun and putting it out there and feeling what kind of stories we wanted to do. We just did it based upon the concept of what we had already established. But to think that, I think what most of the situation is, it continues to follow the example where you just put good stories and good art together. They remember that more than anything else. And when there's a hole, when it disappears, there's this hole in the market, and someone discovers, like, you know what, we need to put this stuff back out there because there was never anything like this, and there may never be anything like this. So we need to take advantage of it now. It's a work that needs to be finished, like the way Dennis Cowan said. It's a work that needs to be finished.
And has not been successfully emulated since, which really says a lot.
Well,
what's the next issue?
Head of his time. Blood Syndicate issue 31. It's the introduction of Soulbreaker. Now, Soulbreaker is a kind of a dope concept for a villain. A voodoo man.
No, that wasn't you.
Okay.
It wasn't you, and it wasn't Ivan. It was
Jackson?
Chester.
Yes.
Oh, that might have been one of those imposed take a break type books after we did that 4-day phase.
It was.
Yeah, because you guys were right back on it afterwards, I want to say.
The writer was D.G. Chester, and the penciler was Ilim Mak.
Oh, yeah. Wow. But for me, what stood out about this issue was the villain, or the new villain that they brought in, called Soul Breaker. You know, a guy who uses voodoo and technology, a combination of both. I mean, that's dope. That could stand up today. I hope my man.
He's a tech mage. I like that, tech mage.
Yeah, it was a voodoo technopath.
Technopath, huh? I was a mage.
Voodoo technopath.
I hope they bring him. I hope they bring him in. I know Geoffrey, Mr. Thorne said they were going to use everything, so I hope that they definitely bring him in, because he was just a dope villain, and what he was doing, you know, fusing the old magic with the new magic. You know, because some people don't view technology as magic, but let's just be honest. I mean, the way they're even doing art today is very different. I mean, let me ask you, Mr. Cross, you're still, you know, you're still doing your thing. Are you using more technology, or does just putting the pen to paper your method, or how does that
upgrading?
work?
I'm still upgrading. I mean, I just bought a Cintiq that I have yet to open because I've been so busy doing analog, you know. So just doing the regular pen, you know. But I also mix up a lot of Photoshop stuff too, so you kind of break it up, because there's sometimes, you know, you're drawing, you gotta get stuff done within a certain clip. And you kind of like, okay, I don't have time to draw this massive explosion the way I really want to, so I'll come up with something in Photoshop and do it that way. It'll happen a whole lot faster. But, you know, it's a tool, and it's there, so you should be able to do something with it without having to worry about cheating. Although it's not exactly cheating, but it's not you sitting in front of a board drawing all these different little, you know, clouds and stuff as this, you know, something engulfs a particular city. It's cool to do, but I like to do smarter, not harder. When you get older, you're just like, I don't feel like doing all that. So I'll come up with something, you know, and they make it look like I do all that.
Let me ask you, I mean, do you get out to the cons a whole lot?
I'm starting to do it more. I started doing it in the last couple of years. I started doing a little bit more. I'm usually so busy that I can't really go straight to the cons and actually, you know, kind of set up tables and stuff. But I said now, later in my travails, as I'm trying to, my travels rather, as I'm starting to get older in this game and starting to put his own stuff up, at some point I want to start getting my feet wet and going out and, you know, showing my face more, and you know, setting up some tables and doing the con shows again.
Okay,
I would do it sporadically.
Catch you at a con.
I'm
definitely commissioning you to do some work.
Yeah, I'm still kind of a little nervous about the whole pandemic situation, because people think it's over. People think COVID took a vacation. And now, you know, dealing with monkeypox. You know, I mean, I was supposed to do a spot not too long ago, and I got sick just before, and I definitely wanted to make sure I didn't have any COVID, so I was cool with that. But it was still a situation where I was just still feeling like crap. And then the stuff I was going to bring was going to be like Microban and Lysol, and, you know, I had my mask and the whole bit. And I'm just like, dude, they're going to think you're crazy. Like, I want to make sure I killed every single bacteria there was before I showed up there, like, on my table. And I'm just trying to practice on what it's going to be and be in a really big situation like that. You know, going to San Diego Con, I was supposed to go there. I was like, I'm not going to all those people. And funny enough, a lot of the people who said they were going came back sick.
Wow.
And I was like, nah. I've been blessed so far, thank you, Jesus, that I have not been hit by that COVID bug, even though my wife wound up getting it and I had to help her through it. But that thing is no joke. It'll take you out, man. And even though we got the vaccinations for it, it's still like a big flu that can really knock you out. So, you know, and then there's the stuff afterwards. So my thing is I want to make sure that if I go to a spot like that, I'm prepared. I have my own protocols, and I can be able to affect people and work over there and not really worry about anything else but drawing and entertaining, quote unquote, the people that will come by. So maybe in the future, pretty soon.
Let's pray we can do that soon.
Oh yeah. We need a break from this thing.
So
presence
we're
in
going
DC.
to presence in the DC universe. These are a few of the books where some of the Blood Syndicate members pop up in. That first one, issue 79, the Teen Titans. I love that cover. I love that cover with Static on the cover. Paul, you know the particulars of who's in that book?
This is Tomiko's section.
Okay, Tamiko, I'm sorry. Queen, because you bless us. Let us know what's up.
Okay, actually, it wasn't my section, but I'm gonna do it. I got it. This particular run in Teen Titans, where they bring the Codaverse members back into the DCU. So this basically it squares on Static's experience from the Terror Titans series beforehand.
Right.
So now he's in the Teen Titans, and now he's trying to figure out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Nobody knows I'm still around. I want to see if my family is still around. So they go back to Dakota. And of course, what happens when he goes back to Dakota? He meets up with Holocaust.
Of course.
So Holocaust was holding quite a grudge. So in trying to take out Static, of course, now he realizes now he got to take out Static and the Teen Titans. So these 3 issues is a little piece of what happened when Static came back to Dakota after his experiences outside of the DCU.
Okay. Cool. I got to get that 81. I didn't even know that 81 had Holocaust on the cover like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Like,
Superboy.
was this some like multiverse type situation happening right now? Because I'm looking like I don't remember that cover.
Yeah, DC actually brought in Static in the Teen Titans book. What was it called again, Tomiko?
Terror Titans.
Terror Titans. Brought him in with a big bang, where he basically kicked Ravager's ass like profoundly, and was flexing. And he eventually joins the Teen Titans in issue 75, I think it was.
Yeah,
so around there, he officially
Who's the writer?
I can tell you in a second. I have the book, so I'll tell you in a second.
But yeah, those particular issues are kind of slippery to get. And I did manage to snag 81 from Midtown when they had their 75% off sale. So that's
the writer was Felicia Henderson. And if I'm not mistaken, she was.
That's right. She's the first. Yeah, she's the first sister to write on DC.
First black woman writer at DC Comics.
Okay. Awesome.
Felicia D. Henderson.
She did the whole series or just those 3 books?
She did these 3 books.
Okay.
The penciler was Joe Bennett and Yildray Sinar.
Yeah, Bennett's good. I'm still looking at that last cover. Like, why do I not remember that cover? Kind of weird, but it looks. I mean, it's amazing how Dakota has popped up here and there in the DCU, and I think it's kind of weird to see anybody in it from Milestone Universe in the DCU. It kind of looks weird because you're going to get these really super powered guys too, and even though Blood Syndicate can hold their own, they're not really that power level. Like, you're not fighting with Superman or Superboy all the time. So maybe Static can hang because, his is electromagnetic, something like that. But it's he's basically what Magneto is. So he can hold his own against anybody in that group, even Soup, if he does it right. But to see the other characters going to pop up in there is kind of weird.
Yeah.
There was no other Blood Syndicate characters that showed up in those books? I don't remember these books.
That's pretty much it. It was pretty much Holocaust.
The only other time that there was milestone characters in DC Universe was during the Worlds Collide crossover event.
Because I know when they brought Paul Static back, they went with Static Shot, but when they brought Static back, I was always kind of wondering why they never kind of touched Blood Syndicate. I think it was kind of they didn't know what to do with it. and they probably didn't want to cheapen it, but at the same time, they probably didn't want to show it. It was like, you know, these guys are kind of basically a fire starter, if you get my meaning. So anything that they put their hands on is going to be destroyed at some point.
Well, it was interesting. They actually brought back the Blood Syndicate kind of in the Static Shock cartoon.
Right, right.
Season 4, episode 5, I think it was. They brought them back as a group called the Night Shade, I think it was called. They brought back Brick House, Fade, and one other character. I don't remember who the other ones. But Fade, when they brought back Fade, was actually a white character, which is kind of interesting.
What? Why don't I remember that?
But they didn't call them the Blood Syndicate because, you know, it's a kid's cartoon. So I think they just sort of rebranded them and used some of the characters.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder what Dwayne thought of that. Because he was not just writing most of that stuff. I think he was he was a producer, executive producer of that stuff.
Dennis Cowan was actually the producer of the show.
Was it?
Yeah.
So, but I know Dwayne McDuffie did a lot of
he did do some writing,
screenplays, yeah.
All righty. Next slide, sir. Oops, let's go back. There we go.
Season 1 covers.
Season 1 covers.
Woo-woo.
These were really, really hot. These were really hot. And normally, I am a proponent of B covers. Now, I will say that the covers A by Dexter Soy, they were great. They were wonderful. But these covers here is what captures the imagination here. So the first one I have highlighted here, of course, is the 1D cover. This was by Raza. And of course, it features our boy Holocaust.
Yeah, that's a fact. I was like, that's a pretty cover.
Raza's a beast.
When we put this on Black Comic Lords on Facebook, it just lit up because everybody said, "Ooh, I have to have that cover." And that cover is the 1 in 25 retailer variant. So if you've been following along, the stores would only get that variant if they ordered 25 or more of the cover A.
Interesting.
So this one,
that should be a T-shirt.
It should. Be.
Yeah,
for
real.
I need y'all to talk to DC or Milestone, whoever's in charge of merch. I mean, so much of the work that you guys do should be T-shirts or what have you. It's so marketable.
I'm with you. Your words are God's ears. I would love to see it. Tell you the truth. Even the logo, the Blood Syndicate logo.
Yeah.
The old one and the new one.
Absolutely.
You get your hands on that one. You might not have to pay rent money, but you just might have to. Just might have to. So the second one there highlighted. The second one that's highlighted is the 1C cover by Nicholas Draper Ivey.
Hey,
he's one of my favorites. I got that one. And the reason why I got this one is because I pre-ordered. So remember, pre-order Things from Another World. That's the only way you'll get these, because once they hit the LCS, they're gone.
Shameless.
Headed in the pull list. I went there and they'd be like, "Sorry, Miss Tamika, we ain't got it." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's all right. I'm covered." So remember, pre-order your comics at Things from Another World. We'll put the link somewhere. All right. And then, of course, for this one, on the third one, is the B cover. Done by
ChrisCross.
ChrisCross and Will Quintana.
Yeah, he's a colorist.
The old school variant.
That's pretty strong now. That's pretty strong.
So highlight me there for a minute. Looking through, I have my entire boxes of Milestones right next to me here. And of course, I just noticed that this, is pretty much
A recreation of the original Dennis Cowan.
Recreation of the original #1 in the poly bag.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I was like, that's really, really cool. That is so cool. And of course, this one, well, I have several of these because, of course, I had to open one. But this one was the one that I left in the poly bag.
The funny thing is, the suggestion that I had for the cover when I did the homage cover is that they put a strip underneath it saying "America still eats its young," and they were they said, "Nah, that's okay, dude."
Oh, that
I was like,
that would have
echoed it. I thought,
they should allow you to do that.
See, people they don't know. They don't know. Oh, okay. And of course, we're going to shout out to Nicholas Draper Ivy for his Best New Artist nomination for the Tripwire Comics Award.
Good for him.
Wow.
Awesome. All right. You can knock me back off here. And we'll go to the second slide. Okay. Yep. This is, of course, the Edwin Gallman cover. 2B. Tech 9 in all of his glory.
Yeah, that was dope.
Still can't get my hands on that one, and I feel bad because I was like, I should have ordered it because I didn't know that it was going to be that good. But it's okay. I'll eventually get my hands on it. So that's the Edwin Gallman cover, 2B.
Yeah. Edwin's in our space too. Shout out to his work.
Yeah, shout out. All right, and the next one featured there is the Matthias Manhanini cover for DC Pride. And I thought that
rave.
It was really, it's like a real nice psychedelic type cover, and I was like, that's very pleasing to my eyes.
That's his style.
And that one is also on its way to me very slowly, but I'm not gonna knock it.
Our variant cover game is strong, folks.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right,
the final cover.
The one we're going to feature last, of course, the Juliet Never cover of Aqua Maria 4B.
Hey.
This is another one you can't get your hands on.
All these should be T-shirts. Every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
No arguments here.
These are the covers that are out right now. So if you want to get a jump start on 5 and 6, pre-order. Pre-order your comics. Things from Another World. And I'll make sure that we'll have the link somewhere. I'll put the link in the chat. So that is the season 1 covers of note.
Okay. It's pretty
well, we're kind of at the end of our show here, guys. You want to give us some preview as to what we can expect in issues 5 and 6?
Yeah.
Blood.
Lots of mayhem. Lots of mayhem. Couple new characters are going to show up. And book 5 and book 6 are kind of bookends. One is all about Holocaust. Book 5 is all about Holocaust. And book 6 is really mostly about Tech 9. So, and you're going to see some stuff you have not expected to see when we close it out. Mr. Cross is handling
it right now.
Handling his business on issue 6. And Mr. Hill took care of issue 5. And it is a thing of beauty. But it is not for the weak of heart. Issue 5 is all Holocaust all the time.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that everybody is really enjoying this rendition of Blood Syndicate. Just to continue to keep pushing the aesthetic, that there should be more of these books out there, and that it doesn't just kind of flop in the pan. I just want them to really push this and market this to make sure that people understand that these are characters they really should invest in. They'll see a lot of themselves in it, and that at least matches the energy that was put out by the first set, the first generation.
That's high praise because you were there. My biggest fear was dropping the ball. I will say this to you all. Thank you for this show. because it shows folks like you are what's needed to get people who would not otherwise pick this book up or books like this up. One of the things that has fallen down in terms of creating comic book properties for people that are frankly not white is a lot of people of color will walk by something like this and just sort of sniff at it, like assuming it's just like, hey, I'm black, y'all, and I'm back, y'all, and I'm blackity black, and I'm back, y'all. And that's not what anybody's trying to, right? Like, that's not what we're doing here. We're trying to, I'm trying not to let down the great Ivan Velez Jr. and the great Dwayne McDuffie, and hopefully not have the great ChrisCross look at me like, brother, what you doing? That's on my neck all the time. But end of the day, these books rise and fall on their sales. So keep doing the Lord's work.
Thanks for the spotlight.
Thank you very much for spotlighting not just us, but the other Milestone roundtables you've done. I know you guys were talking about the DC Milestone, the time they tried to integrate it. I call that the period we don't speak of. But this version needs all the highlighting it can possibly take because it is worthy. Those other books are fire. So thank you for that. Thank you for this. Thank you for that.
We appreciate y'all showing up, and we hope that when you're completed the run, that we can bring you guys back and we can talk about the end of the run.
Oh, show!
Talk about season 2.
Wow, that's in the hands of Mr. Calvin.
My request for season 2, man. We gotta get my people represented.
Dogg,
I need a Jamaican character.
Dogg, Kwai, DMZ, everybody who did not make an appearance needs to show up, and I still want to write them. So Dennis and Reggie know what's up on my end. If they choose to go another route, I hope they don't. Please don't. But
we'll start a petition.
Season 2, which I think they will. But I think we'll both be back on the next year.
We'll start a petition.
Keep the team together, man. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Incidentally, there was a question way back in the show. Why does Dogg's name have 2 G's in it?
I don't know. He's a dog.
It's G for gangster, yo.
That's right.
No, it's
Dogg gangster. Dogg gangster. You heard it here first.
It's for giggity, man. Giggity gangster. Come on, yo.
Mystery.
Now I gotta have him put out have him do some bars in one of the issues he's in.
Imagine that dude. He goes Eminem on it. Yo, I don't know.
That is amazing.
Go ahead,
well, guys. It has been fun.
I think he should be a border collie this time.
Oh my God!
Oh, wow.
After my dog.
Doberman.
You know what, guys? We've had lots of fun. We got to bring this to an end. So, for those of you that are interested in learning more about Milestone and the work that Milestone is doing, please check out the HBO Max documentary, Milestone's Generations, and you will learn a whole lot about this amazing movement that is going on today. But if you want to go back in the day, you can also check out the AMC Flip the Secret History of Comics, the Color of Comics, that features Dennis Cowan, Derek Dingle, and I think, aren't you in this, ChrisCross?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
not,
I thought
not too long. So I have some spots in it.
Yeah, but I'm a little biased. Being an old head, this is my favorite. I like the first one, but I like this one here because it was more of a deep dive. And but you guys go check that out. You can find that on YouTube, or you can just be gangster with it, like the Blood Syndicate. Get you a free. Sign up for it for 7 days and cancel it. Just watch the documentary. It's
a
hood discount. That's a hood discount.
Exactly.
Black comic lords always keeping it 100 with the peoples.
Always. Hey, look, y'all want to sponsor us, AMC? We here. Holla at your boy. But anyway, from my man Paul, the Queen Tamiko, Mr. ChrisCross, Mr. Geoffrey Thorne, we want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You've been so gracious with your time. We love you, and whatever we can do, you got projects, whatever. Matter of fact, while you're here, can you just give us your social media? Where can we find you? In this virtual universe.
And any other upcoming projects you have coming up?
Yes.
You want to go, Geoffrey, or shall I go?
I'm just easy. You can either go JeoffreyThorne.com and get everything, or you can go to Twitter and get beat up by me on Thorne Identity.
You always gotta get all violent. Anyway, so
well, they always try it. I'm like, why are you trying me? You know what's gonna happen.
These hands, right?
So,
I got some stuff. I'm trying to get a website up with my stuff finally. I had something happened to it, and I had to it just took forever for me to finally get to it. But I'll have that going. Most likely it'll be ChrisCross.com. Probably, I'm not sure. I'll figure it out. I'm finishing up this last issue of Blood Syndicate. I guess whatever DC has coming for me after this, I'll know pretty soon. I got some own stuff I'm putting together, so hopefully before this year is out, we'll be done with it, and we'll be able to put it through a particular company I've been putting together called Eternal Kick. That should be something to put something out there through that label, maybe one way or the other. We'll see how it works. And then we're basically whatever else that's out there. I mean, I'm just kind of hustling. You know what I'm saying? Just hustling to keep the stuff going and try to set up a situation where I'm building my own legacy now. I'm getting kind of up there in the tooth. So it's time to do something for myself.
Well, look, if you guys ever have anything that you want us to help you promote and put out there,
I'll let you know.
Let people know about it. Let us know.
Yeah.
Emerald Knight comes out in November.
Look, we can look. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. We don't have time to talk about it now, but we need to bring you back so we can talk about Green Lantern.
Let's go. Anytime
I did some of that stuff.
I'm gonna reach out.
Yeah,
me and Thorne did some of that stuff.
Too.
Remember?
We did Vixen. We did Green Lantern. We were on Blood Syndicate. I'm not trying to let Cross get away. It took me 10 years to get to work with this dude.
We got nothing but air and opportunity, brothers. So, whenever you're ready,
you say it.
We're gonna track you down and bring you back.
Look, I sit in front of this computer. If you need me, just let me know. I'm ready to go.
I'm all over the place. So I got my computer with me. So if I see it, I'm like, oh, okay.
So, fellas, look, it has been a wonderful night. We got to shut this down.
All right.
I wanted to say, as we close out, I just want to say this about the 4 fabulous weeks we've had talking about Milestone. One of the things that I love about Milestone is that I felt like these books were made for people like me. And because they were made for people like me, I cherish them. I'll go to bat with anybody for them. And, I don't care what anyone says, everybody's still chasing you guys. You think about a character, say, is established as Batman, but there's nothing that you could literally put Batman up to all of the characters that Milestone has, and there's no comparison. These characters are distinct. They're original. There's no legacy characters. These are our characters. Representation, people got to stop looking for, we need representation. We already got it. And these guys made the blueprint. And so for anybody that says we don't have nothing to read, we don't have our own comics, that is just a lie. Milestone
You've been a hole for 25 years.
Showed us.
Yeah.
Yes. Milestone Media has showed us time and time again, from the former generation to this iteration of it, Milestone 2.0, that our stories matter, that the artwork matters. We have skillful artists. I love Alex Ross, but I'm glad I have brothers like ChrisCross that I can just reach out and touch and say, you know what, that's my brother, that's his art, that's his style. He's distinct, because that's the thing about us as Black people. People fail to realize we are a original people who do original things. Okay, so Milestone, the blueprint is already there. All of you comic book heads, all of you creators that want to do your books or whatever, the blueprint's already been set for you guys. You just got to follow it. That's my challenge, each and every one of us. So let's continue to lift these guys up. Mr. Thorne, the work that you did on Green Lantern, and I ain't even had a chance to talk about Black Panther, but suffice to
King
say,
in Black. Don't start me, because you know look.
You are so crazy.
Do not set off.
You and I have already talked about that King in Black. Greatest one shot.
I'm sorry. I mean, look, as Black Panther fan,
don't trigger me.
As a Black Panther fan, listen, you're like the Mandalorian of the Star Wars universe. You give me hope, my brother.
You messed his head
I
up,
gotta
man.
go. I gotta go. That's too much.
You hit the gas.
I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. Because you're about to ask me for a loan or something, and I don't have any money.
No. I just believe that we should give our creators, our artists, and our writers, their props, because you may not get this same love in spaces that don't look like us. It's up to us as Black comic lords to be that foundation, to be that safe space for brothers like yourself, artists like my man ChrisCross. So we're going to appreciate you guys, and it's just not lip service. We buy these books; they're in our long boxes. Yes, sir.
Like you guys, I was a fan of these books. Okay, I was not in this industry. I was not doing anything like this. Okay, I had a whole other life going on, and these books came out. I'm just a fan. Okay, so representation freaking matters, y'all. Because 30 years later, where am I? Okay, 30 years later, where am I? If you don't like my run on Blood Syndicate, go and grab the original run, because it holds up. Island Velez Jr. came to play. He put in work. Cross put in work. He may look at his old work and be like, well, I don't draw like that anymore. I'm way better now. Whatever, yo. Go buy those books. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's enough for you. And if there's two more guys like us or two ladies like us, 30 years from now, they'll be in this chair doing this or more or better. But like, come on.
Just keep building on the universe.
Yep. That's what's up. We appreciate you guys. So look, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. It's your boy Rich. I got my man Paul, the Queen Tamiko, our esteemed guests, Black comic lords. We in the building, and as we always say, buy the comics, read the comics. Until next time, we love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. We greet you with peace, or we should say we goodbye. Anyway, do what you do.
Peace.
We'll be back here
Peace
next
in
week.
Hair grease.
Comics with Rich is back, real talk. So until then, go to blackcomiclords.net. Get you some merch. Check out our books. Check out the grails. Until next time, we out. We say peace.
All right.
Good night. Lord have mercy.